Hey everyone, I have some important news about Global Freeze. I think this channel might be shadow banned, so I'm moving all my future uploads to a fresh channel. If you want to continue watching Global Freeze, please subscribe to the new one. The link is in the description, the pinned comment, and the collab tag. See you over there. It was assumed that the Raven of Calamity would regain consciousness soon, and in the middle of the Ghost Realm battle, it was possible that Obia's spirit couldn't be located with any accuracy. So Zhang Yi figured the second option was more reliable. How about this? There are so many of us, and we're all talented in our own fields. Why don't we try to find a way to cross the ocean based on our individual abilities? Zhang Yi said this with stability in mind. Kent nodded. You're the leader. Once you've made the call, everyone will naturally follow your lead. Actually, Yu and the others were already fairly excited to try, and they already had ideas in their heads that they wanted to put into action. Everyone recognized Zhang Yi as the leader, but every person also had their own thinking and their own desire to express themselves. If someone could find a way to cross the ocean right now, their value in the team's eyes would definitely go up, so everyone immediately got to work. Hey, let me go first. This is the moment I've been waiting for to show off years of hard work. Yu rolled up his sleeves and stepped forward with a confident smile. Zhang Yi caught his sleeve and gave him a slightly suspicious look. What exactly are you about to do? Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Yu looked a little surprised. Boss, I'm just thinking about how to cross the ocean. Why are you giving me that weird expression? Don't look at me like I'm a bag of hazardous waste. Zhang Yi sighed and leaned close to whisper in his ear, quiet enough that only the two of them could hear. Nothing. It's just that you mentioned years of heart training and it reminded me of your previous mutation, just a little worried. Yu was completely stunned. His eyes went wide and he pointed at Zhang Yi with his mouth hanging open. How can you be this mean? I'm from the Su family. I'm a man of status. I'm not going to show off my family's traditional skills in front of all these people. At first, no one else understood what the two of them were talking about. But Yu got so worked up that he just blurted it out loud and everyone heard it. Zhang Yi covered his face helplessly. I was just reminding you to think things through before doing anything. Don't embarrass yourself in public, especially when both your girlfriend and your boyfriend are watching. But you just go ahead and announce it all. Li Yangyang had been with the group the whole time, close to Yang Xingxing, under her command and surveillance. She'd come along because it was part of Zhang Yi and Yang Xingxing's plan. But seeing Fatty Pengji's clumsy behavior, Li Yangyang showed no disgust at all. Instead, she wore a faint, affectionate smile, the kind someone gives when watching an adorable kid. We're fine. Zhang Yi felt a faint, ancient legend come to mind. What normal people saw as a fat otaku, a certain special group could only see as an innocent, cute little character in a sailor uniform with pigtails and white stockings. It really was true that the prejudice people carried in their hearts was as immovable as a mountain. Maybe the more idiotically Fatty Pengji behaved, the more Li Yangyang liked him. This world has truly gone insane. Zhang Yi waved his hand helplessly. All right, go ahead. Yu's face went red, then green, then white. He puffed out his big cheeks in indignation and walked to the water's edge. He crouched down and placed his right hand on the surface of the weak water. Then he took a deep breath. Eternal freeze. Blue cold energy burst from his body, flowing out through his hands and spreading directly across the surface of the water. Zhang Yi stood calmly to the side, watching. He hadn't held much hope for this. But soon disbelief spread across everyone's faces. The pitch-black weak water was solidifying. Large sections of it were turning into black ice that was rapidly spreading forward from the shore. In just a short time, a large ice layer had formed covering hundreds of square meters. You've actually got something going on in there, Zhang Yi said. He couldn't hold it back. Uncle Yu nodded with satisfaction. Under my supervision all these years, Xiaoju never slacked off, especially since he received the sacrificial spirit you gave him. Don't look at Zheng Chunlai like he's the same old person. He's still working very hard. Oh, is that right? Seeing Ju's determined eyes, Zhang Yi gave a quiet nod. The resources I put into training him weren't wasted. Before the Epsilon level, Fatty Pengji's talent wasn't anything special, just on par with Bailey Zhang, Xiao Honglian, and the others. Zhang Yi had invested so many resources in him specifically because his ability was an ice and snow type, a unique and innate ability. And when someone entered the Epsilon realm, their abilities developed fully. Someone might not be remarkable before Epsilon, but after crossing that level, a major transformation occurs amid everyone's hopeful gazes. Fatih Zhu kept using his ability, continuously expanding the ice layer. A few minutes later, Zhang Yi placed a hand on his shoulder. "All right, take a rest." "It's fine, prison guard. I'm not tired yet. I can keep going." Fatih Zhu turned to look at Zhang Yi. His expression made it crystal clear. "This work makes me happy." Zhang Yi sighed. "That's enough. At this pace, I'll be waiting forever to cross the ocean." Fatih Zhu paused. Then he looked at the weak water abyss ahead. By now, he had extended the ice surface to nearly 1 kilometer. But compared to this enormous, endless ocean, that speed was genuinely very slow. "Are we actually thinking about freezing the entire ocean?" "We've all seen your effort. Take a little rest now," Zhang Yi told him patiently. Zohar said with a light smile, "At least your method is working. That's already a very good thing." Fatih Zhu sat down on the ground. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, to salvage some dignity, "Who knows, maybe we just need an ice flow. That's when my skills will really come in handy." Li Yanyang came forward and gently helped him up. "You're already amazing," she smiled. And Fatih Zhu immediately felt that his half-day of effort had genuinely been worth it. Zhang Yi chuckled softly. But he didn't mention how ridiculous Fatih Zhu had looked when he was crouching down with his rear end sticking out, trying to freeze the ocean. Let him keep a little dignity. Maybe Fatih thinks of himself as quite handsome. Loran walked to the edge of the water and scooped up a cup of weak water with a bucket. She stood at the shore holding the bucket. The water was completely black and opaque. She placed both hands on either side of the bucket and activated her ability, Void Transformation. Her ability was this. She could break down anything in the world, analyze it, and understand its composition. Trust science. That was Lu Karan's belief. As long as something was matter, its essence could be analyzed and then a solution could be found. Golden light began rising from her hand, slowly penetrating into the weak water and beginning an analysis. Lu Karan's expression was intensely focused, but this time the analysis was noticeably slow. Zhang Yi wasn't in any hurry. He waited for the results while chatting with Yang Xingxing. "The road ahead is still very long, and now that we've come this far, honestly I have no idea what the next step will be." Yang Xingxing looked at Zhang Yi. A strange light was in her eyes. Even so, she nodded. "Yeah, but we've faced situations like this before, haven't we?" Zhang Yi pulled a pack of cigarettes from an alternate dimension. He opened it, lit one, took a long drag, then held a cigarette out toward Yang Xingxing. With some unexpectedness, Yang Xingxing took it. With a touch of awkwardness, she lit it and started smoking too. The mint-flavored slim cigarette had a slightly sweet taste with low nicotine. Quite suitable for women. "You smoke?" Zhang Yi asked with a bit of surprise. "I've never seen you smoke before." Yang Xingxing gave a gentle little smile. "When was there ever a good time?" "At Tianxing Academy. Before I met you, my legs were paralyzed from polio. Something very painful for me." She looked down. A faint smile was in her eyes. Then she looked up and met Zhang Yi's gaze. Without any hesitation, her eyes held love. "Brother, you saved me." Seeing Yang Xingxing look at him with such warmth, Zhang Yi's heart softened slightly. He'd always felt that he'd only saved Yang Xingxing's life because she was a top-tier hacker and could help him. The care and attention he'd given her afterward was mostly because she was so valuable. Well, and maybe a little bit because she was a cute and beautiful girl. No straight guy could help going soft for someone that lovely. But to Yang Xingxing, none of that mattered. All that was enough for her was that Zhang Yi treated her well. Even if she knew exactly why he treated her well, it still wouldn't bother her. A smart girl can always find a good reason for herself. Zhang Yi tossed his cigarette into the weak water. It sank instantly. "I'm going to go check the combustibles." He gestured toward Lu Karan and walked over to her. Lu Karan had also finished her analysis of the weak water. There was a touch of confusion in her eyes. "What's up, Karan? Find anything?" Zhang Yi asked. Kent had come closer too. "Yeah, if there's a discovery, share it with everyone," he said. Loran looked at them with a slightly strange expression. "It's actually seawater. 99% seawater composition and 1% some mysterious energy," Kent said. "What's strange about seawater? Millions of years ago, land became ocean, and the deserts and mountains we see today were all once underwater. This place might actually be an ancient seabed." Loran shook her head. "No, it's not like that. I studied the water composition of this weak water carefully, and it's almost identical to seawater from the outside world. Specifically, it closely matches the seawater near Africa. This is not a closed body of water. She gave her conclusion directly. This place might be directly connected to the open sea. Zhang Yi thought through the map of this place in his mind. The desert this eye belongs to is very far from the ocean. How could it be connected to the open sea? Yang Xingxing stepped forward and explained, "It's not impossible. According to scientific research, the Eye of the Devil was originally inside the ocean, and one theory says this place might actually be the real ruins of the legendary Atlantis." Zhang Yi got a little confused. Wait, Atlantis? Then where are those ocean ruins that King Arthur and his team conquered? The mysteries kept stacking on top of each other, and everything was getting more and more tangled. But if this place was truly connected to the open sea, it made sense why Fatty Zhu had been able to freeze the water here. The weak water didn't have any special composition, just a mysterious force that turned this sea area into a large isolated zone. Lu Karan could only analyze the seawater's composition, but she had no way to cross the ocean because she didn't know how to break that mysterious power. "You don't need to worry about that," Zhang Yi said. "The source of this power is definitely the legacy of some very powerful being from the previous era. Whoever sealed Mammon last time. We shouldn't destroy it." Zhang Yi had come here to seal Mammon a second time. Strengthening Mammon's seal was necessary. Mammon would eventually break free no matter what. But Zhang Yi didn't want that happening now. He wanted at least enough time for a few thousand years to pass. And by then, Zhang Yi himself probably wouldn't even be alive anymore. So why stress about it? Zhang Yi looked at Kang De, standing beside him. "Brother Kang De, what do you think? Any good ideas?" Hearing this, Kent said, "I think a special method is needed to cross this sea area. If you don't want to go back to search for Odbibia, then wait for the Holy Sea's people. They must have a way. After all, Vatican's people claim they've been researching the Demon King for thousands of years. They would have prepared for this." Kent's meaning was clear. Stop here and wait. Zuoke frowned and raised a different point. "But the Holy See might be exactly the people who secretly attacked Zhang Yi before. Can we trust them?" Kent paused, then said, "But right now we don't have many options. And on top of that, the Spear of Longinus is still with us. They have no choice but to cooperate with us." Zhang Yi waved his hand. "I think Kent is absolutely right. There are no permanent enemies in this world, only permanent interests. We have the Spear of Longinus. So anyone who wants to seal Mammon will have to cooperate with us. Until we have a better idea, we stay here, think about how to cross the ocean, and wait for them to arrive." As he said this, Zhang Yi held out a cigarette to Kang De. Kent looked at the cigarette, gave a faint smile, and declined. "No, that's not a habit of mine." Zhang Yi put it away. "Right, I remembered. We've known each other so long and I've never seen you smoke." He glanced at Kent with a sudden smile. "You know why I picked this up?" Kent blinked and asked, "Why?" Zhang Yi took a long drag and said with a touch of self-deprecation, "Back then I was trying to impress Feng Yuqing. She said guys who smoke look cool, so I learned." When Kent heard Zhang Yi say Feng Yuqing's name, he let out a breath. "You still haven't gotten over her." He gave Zhang Yi a sympathetic look and put a hand on his shoulder. "It's been so long, let it go." Zhang Yi gave a dry, slightly bitter laugh. "Let it go? How would I just let it go? She was my most real relationship. She was my girlfriend. Mr. Kent, can you just drop your feelings that easily?" Kent couldn't answer the question. He just shook his head with an odd little smile. Who could really say something definitive about things like that? Zhang Yi looked down and began rubbing his right thumb and index finger together. "Yeah, you're right." Then Kent suddenly felt that Zhang Yi's tone had gone a little cold. "That's exactly why someone like you should be dead." Zhang Yi looked straight at him. There was no warmth whatsoever in his eyes. Kent went rigid with shock, staring at Zhang Yi with a confused expression. The rest of the team was startled too, looking back and forth between the two of them, unable to understand how things had gotten so serious so suddenly. These two were the closest friends on the entire team. Only Yang Xingxing was different. Her dark eyes held a strange gleam. She was just staring at Kent, but she gave no response to Zhang Yi's reaction. "Zhang Yi, what's gotten into you? Why are you suddenly this angry?" Uncle Yu wanted to smooth things over. Fatty Zhu also waved his hands, trying to calm things down. Don't fight, Lauda. You're usually the most calm and rational one." He looked at Kent. "Mr. Kent, he's just a little upset. Don't take it personally." Zhang Yi leaned back against a stone and lit another cigarette. A regular men's cigarette this time. The flame cast a faint glow and smoke curled through the air. "Enough, Kent. Who are you really?" He narrowed his eyes and fixed Kent with a stare. You are absolutely not one of my people. A strange flicker passed through the depths of Kent's eyes, but his face still showed surprise. Zhang Yi, what are you saying? We've known each other for years. How can you say something like that? After a pause, he showed understanding and spoke in a sincere tone. I know you've been under a lot of pressure lately, especially in this chaotic world. Your shoulders carry a heavy burden, which is why you're overthinking. But don't forget the bond between us. The others also started looking at Zhang Yi with concern. Zhang Yi, what happened? Uncle Yu was visibly uneasy. He didn't want to see conflict inside the team. Zohar lowered her head. Something felt off to her too. Wasn't Mr. Kent's relationship with Zhang Yi the strongest of all, and Mr. Kent had always helped Zhang Yi. He was someone Zhang Yi respected. This shouldn't have happened. But Zohar didn't question Zhang Yi's decision. As his girlfriend, she would always stand on Zhang Yi's side. So what actually happened? What's going on? Zohar looked at Kent, then looked at Zhang Yi, and asked Zhang Yi, can you explain why you said Mr. Kent isn't one of your close people? Everyone waited for Zhang Yi's answer. Zhang Yi looked at Kent with cold eyes. He gave a faint smile, but his expression was drenched in pure sarcasm. I've never had a relationship with Feng Yuqing, but when I just said she was my girlfriend, you didn't point out that mistake. A dark gleam passed through Kent's eyes once more, but he still kept his innocent smile. Well, you two had something going on at that time. I figured you were just being emotional, so I didn't call it out. Zhang Yi, you're being a little... He gestured toward his own temple. Little too emotional right now. You need to calm down. Kent still looked concerned. Everyone was confused, looking at Kent, then at Zhang Yi, unable to figure out what the truth was. After thinking for a moment, Zohar walked to Zhang Yi's side. She took his hand and looked directly into his eyes. The two held each other's gaze. And looking into Zhang Yi's eyes, Zohar nodded, very firmly. I believe Zhang Yi. After the apocalypse, Zohar had spent the most time with Zhang Yi, and she understood him best. Miss Zohar, Kent looks completely innocent, someone started to say. Zohar looked at everyone and said, remember one thing, all of you. This is an era where all kinds of strange and powerful abilities exist. So theoretically, it's entirely possible for someone to manipulate another person's memories. But there's one thing I know for certain. No matter what happens, I will always stand on Zhang Yi's side. I'm about to say something that might upset some of you. Even though I've considered all of you good partners until now, if Zhang Yi decides you're fake, I won't hesitate to stand against you. Everyone's emotions got complicated. But they also understood what she was getting at. Zhang Yi had always been the team's core. As the strongest, he was also the most trustworthy, because he had no reason to deceive anyone. Then Yang Xingxing spoke. My brother is right, there's a problem with Kent. Yang Xingxing was staring directly at Kent. Her dark eyes weren't moving at all. She hadn't tried to restrain Kent because Zhang Yi had already identified him. Through his time hand ability, he could predict every action Kent would take in the next 4 seconds, even if he tried to escape. My brother just tested me in the same way, didn't he? She smiled and looked at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded. Exactly. Kent took a long breath. Zhang Yi, why are you suspecting your own companions? We've been with you from start to finish, through every difficulty. We've never betrayed you. Zhang Yi looked at him with cold eyes and explained in a completely calm tone. Ever since we entered the Devil's Eye, I've had a very strong sense of unease. First, the moment we entered, we faced attack after attack. Sure, we might be unlucky, but we can't be that unlucky. One small mistake, and it's instant death. But later, when I met the Raven of Calamity and the Dragon Corpse, I realized there's no real intelligence in the Netherworld. They're all just manifestations of different instincts from Maman's dream. They only act on instinct. So how could beings like that ambush us along our route? Kent responded immediately. Maybe that's just this place's mechanic. When we entered the Devil's Eye, we created significant disturbance. That would have drawn the Netherworld's attention. Zhang Yi was rotating a lighter in his hand. The flame clicked on, then died. At first that feeling was just a little unsettling. Not enough to take seriously. Coincidences happen. But then I got attacked. He looked directly at Kent. At that moment I was angry, and in that situation only the people right around me could have attacked me without being detected. So my first thought was that it must have been some other superhuman team. But after entering the Death Highway, I had a long time to think. And gradually I realized I'd ignored one very important point. The person who attacked me really was one of my close people. But why couldn't it be someone from inside our own team? Because the more I thought about it, the more illogical it seemed for the Holy See and the Oreb clan to have a reason to attack me at that moment. Kent responded quickly. What's illogical about it? Maybe they think of you as an enemy and want to eliminate you. Or maybe they believe you took the Yan clan's legacy. Zhang Yi shook his head. Logically, that sounds right. But sometimes there's a strange feeling that tells you something is wrong. And if it keeps happening, treating it as coincidence would be stupid. He gave a faint, smug smile. His tone carried a mocking edge. How many coincidences actually happen in this world? If I believed in them, I wouldn't be alive today. By my nature, even if I'm wrong, I never let go of anyone who could be a threat to my life. He turned to Kent. And in this team there are only two people who could affect my judgment. Xingxing and you. Zhang Yi looked at both of them. Whoever disturbed my mind at that moment would need to be someone with powerful mental strength. The chance of it being Xingxing is lowest, because if she wanted to, she could control me completely. But that possibility still can't be fully ruled out. That leaves only one person. You, Mr. Kent. He pointed directly at him. According to my memory, you're a mental-type ability user who can control objects and disturb enemies' minds. That's why you're the most likely candidate to have disrupted my abilities at that moment and stopped me from using Time Hand to predict the danger. Hearing Zhang Yi's analysis, everyone was shocked, because in their own memories, Kent was also a very trustworthy person. After hearing everything, Kent looked completely helpless. Zhang Yi, I don't know why you're thinking this way. You're really exhausted. I can't explain any of this because it's all just your speculation. But this isn't only speculation, Mr. Kent. Yang Xingxing's voice rang out coldly. Zhang Yi hadn't finished yet. He wasn't the kind of person to act on a guess alone. His suspicion of Kent was grounded in one very important thing. But first he wanted to hear what Yang Xingxing had to say. She was smart enough that nothing would slip past her. Yang Xingxing said, "What is Mr. Kent's role in our team?" She tilted her head slightly toward Kent, then answered her own question. Team mentor. A trustworthy deputy leader. His prestige in the team is second only to Zhang Yi's, and because he's helped Zhang Yi so many times, Zhang Yi respects his opinions. But ever since we entered the Devil's Eye, I haven't seen you use any powerful ability or give any useful suggestion. You've just been walking along, doing nothing. The moment those words landed, several people suddenly felt like something was off. Fatty Zhu looked down and said quietly, "That seems right. Our respected Mr. Kent is usually the kind of person who makes decisions for everyone. But in this mission, his performance has been almost zero." The same thought now had everyone looking at Kent. Kent looked at Yang Xingxing with a helpless expression. "If you analyze it this way, you'd seem the most suspicious of anyone. You're the most intelligent. If you wanted, you could make up any story against me. Without any solid proof, baseless accusations like this work on everyone." He opened his hands and looked at everyone. "Think carefully. If you apply this same logic to any of you, you could find suspicious points in everyone." A faint mocking smile crossed Yang Xingxing's lips. "You're quite the sophist. But you missed the most important point, and that is your biggest mistake." She looked at Zhang Yi, admiration clear in her eyes. "The image you've built for yourself is that of Zhang Yi's mentor, someone he respects. But what you didn't understand is this. My brother doesn't trust people easily. He would never allow anyone to challenge his leadership. You've been trying to influence his decisions, which directly challenges his position. If someone actually did that, he would have already separated from them by now. The two of you would never work in the same team." Yang Xingxing's words were a decisive blow. If Kent wanted to establish himself in everyone's minds, he would have needed to build a perfect logical structure. The more people involved, the more loopholes there would be. But to actually influence Zhang Yi, he'd need to strengthen his own position, which clashed directly with Zhang Yi's nature. Zhang Yi could work under someone, but only when that person was far more powerful and could protect him. When Zhang Yi himself was the team's strongest member and fighting on the front lines, why would he listen to someone weaker? No matter how great a kindness might be, over time it could turn into resentment and damage the relationship. Yang Xingxing's words forced everyone to doubt Kent, but there was still confusion. Everyone clearly remembered Mr. Kent as a good friend. But both Lyota and Miss Yang were saying otherwise, and, with superpowers, memory and perception could be changed. Zhang Yi clicked the lighter shut with a snap and stared at Kent with cold eyes. There are too many contradictions in you, so now I'm going to have to do something about it. Kent's expression distorted slightly, and something like sorrow crossed it. Old Zhang, are you going to kill me? We've known each other for years. I've even saved your life. Will you really kill me? Zhang Yi waved a hand. That won't be necessary. There's a better way. The moment he said it, the divine refinement immediately transformed into dozens of pitch-black chains rattling toward Kent. Kent's face went white. The next instant, a white crack appeared behind him, and he vanished straight into it. Zhang Yi watched this without much reaction. He simply said, I was thinking about having Xingxing fire an arrow at you as a test, but you just threw that chance away. Kent's body appeared far away. He landed on the ground and looked back at Zhang Yi, a mocking smile spreading across his face. You're smarter than I thought, but unfortunately, you've only figured it out now, and it's already too late. The moment he said that, the weak water behind him roared with a tremendous boom. The black ocean began surging, and several massive wave crests rose like mountains, hundreds of meters tall, as if some monster was about to burst out. Everyone was shocked at the sight. The weak water abyss. What's happening inside it? Is this a new netherworld territory? They found out quickly enough. One enormous sea serpent, completely black, its skin emanating a cold, slick gleam that raised anyone's hackles just to look at. A moray eel with razor-sharp teeth, a body flatter than a sea snake with blue horns on its head, a joint whale visible only as a blade-sharp dorsal fin cutting the surface, the rest of its body hidden beneath, and a strange sea monster whose shape couldn't even properly be described. Its body as massive as a statue, tentacles like an octopus sprouting from its head. The giant sea creatures made terrifying sounds, baring their teeth, faces contorted in grotesque expressions, their dangerous eyes staring at Zhang Yi and the others like prey. Zhang Yi had suspected an undercover agent in the team, but he had not expected there to also be enemies in the weak water abyss. And most importantly, he had no idea who these creatures were. In his memory, he had never had any interaction with anything from the deep sea. But one thing Zhang Yi understood clearly, these were absolutely not ghost walkers from the Devil's Eye. They didn't carry the death aura of ghost walkers. Zhang Yi immediately activated a protective phenomenon from his power that covered everyone. Despite the terrifying situation, he showed not a trace of fear. He turned and fixed Kent with a cold stare. Who are you, really? Now that the situation seemed to be under his control, Kent let out a loud laugh. Who am I? I was just about to... But before he could finish, someone yanked him to the side and his words cut off mid-sentence. From behind him, another person stepped out of the void. They wore jet-black armor, over 5 meters tall. The muscles beneath the armor were clearly visible. Behind them was a thick tail and the helmet had small, menacing horns. I am. The moment Uncle Yu saw the newcomer, he shouted, That's the Woolen Empire's lizard man, Pukon. Zhang Yi said the name. He had fought him before, after the Gate of Light. The Woolen Empire's young powerhouses hadn't directly participated in the Tianhai City battle, but at the Free Mount battlefield they had clearly shown their strength. After the Gate of Light, everyone's power had been equalized to one level, so no one knew exact strengths anymore. Zhang Yi had never imagined he'd meet him again here. But now Zhang Yi understood everything. This wasn't a coincidence at all, it was the Woolen Empire's carefully planned setup. Whether Kent had distorted their memories or not, this man had known in advance that Zhang Yi was coming to the Devil's Eye, so he had infiltrated the team beforehand. From the situation so far, it was clear Kent himself wasn't powerful enough for direct combat or to fully change everyone's memories. If he could do that, he would have altered all their memories and made Zhang Yi and his team fight each other. So this led to one conclusion: Kent could only insert his own existence into people's memories. How he did it wasn't clear, but the timing was probably when they arrived in Africa. The one who attacked me from the shadows back then. That was you, Zhang Yi said in a cold voice. From behind the void, a silver light gate opened, and people began emerging one after another, all in silver armor. Every one of the Woolen Empire's silver armor generals had strength equal to a high-level black chariot, and they may well have become even stronger since then. This powerful man had brought 6 people with him. Zhang Yi glanced to the side at the ocean, where those terrifying deep-sea monsters still lurked. The situation was clearly unfavorable for them now. "You set all of this up just for me, didn't you?" Zhang Yi asked. "But I can't remember ever offending your Woolen Empire. Was planning this entire thing really necessary?" He opened his left palm. "If your Grand Marshal wants revenge, he should go to the Dragon Clan, not me." Zhang Yi couldn't understand why the Woolen Empire would set such an enormous trap for him. Even if they killed him, as long as the Qinling Dragon Clan existed, they could never conquer Waksu Kingdom. Pukon's eyes went sharp the moment he heard the Qinling Dragon Clan mentioned. "You are extremely irritating. I've wanted to kill you for a long time." He crossed his arms and sneered. "But you're right. The Woolen Empire wouldn't send people this powerful for someone like you, nor form an alliance with Atlantis's fishmen." He asked slowly in a superior tone. "Do you really not know why we want to kill you?" Zhang Yi's eyes slowly darkened. He knew the truth. He just didn't want to accept it. Pukon laughed. "So you already know deep down. A month ago, in that place of extreme cold, we went into the Yon God clan space together. And in the end, only the two of you came out. The Chongyun clan's third man still hasn't been seen, which means you fooled everyone. You took all the real benefit, didn't you?" Zhang Yi's gaze was sharp, but the tense furrow in his brow soon relaxed. "So you people already knew everything?" He shrugged, looking slightly resigned. "I wasn't expecting to keep that secret very long anyway. But you people really came all the way out here just to die?" Hearing that, Pukon burst into loud laughter, like he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. "You're genuinely insane. Look around. 2 civilizations have formed an alliance specifically to capture you, so they can extract the Yan clan's secret from you. And you're saying we came here to die?" He pointed at himself. The expression beneath the mask must have been intense. That was easy to imagine. "Just who do you think you are?" 4 large sea beasts and the Woolen Empire's people had closed in on Zhang Yi and his team from both sides. By estimate, at least 3 of them were bishop level or above. On Zhang Yi's side, he was the only one with bishop-level combat power. On top of that, the enemy had come with full planning, which put Zhang Yi's team at a significant disadvantage. No matter how you looked at it, their situation was dire. The biggest problem was that in this world, Zhang Yi couldn't use his special teleportation to reach safety. Things were genuinely bad. Kent laughed smugly. "You might as well surrender right now. It'd be better for you." He pointed at Zhang Yi and sneered. "You people are talented. Lucky. Quite a few of you have reached the 5th life level. As biological puppets, you'd be highly valuable. If you surrender, we might preserve a little of your self-awareness and make you slaves instead of wiping you out entirely." Zhang Yi said nothing, but a black vortex began appearing in his right eye. Kent was still laughing, but the next instant, his head crumpled like a wilted painting and burst apart with a bang. Red blood, white brain matter, and bone fragments splattered in every direction. He had been right next to Pukon, but the attack was so sudden that even Pukon went slightly serious. "Looks like you gained quite a bit from that place. Your strength has grown considerably too. Resisting stubbornly isn't a smart choice." He paused. "All right, let me give you a lesson first." He waved his right arm. "Kill everyone except him. I want him to watch his friends die because of his own stubbornness." The 6 silver armor generals fell into line. Their powerful abilities surged into a massive storm, rising and ready. At the same time, the 4 large sea monsters also began closing in on Zhang Yi and his team. The electric eel's body crackled with electricity, currents spreading through the water like tiny glittering snakes. A blood-red demonic blade appeared in Zhang Yi's right hand and a large hand cannon in his left. "You've been watching long enough. Come out now," Zhang Yi called out loudly to the surroundings. The next instant, a pink light came from the direction of the weak water abyss and landed directly on the electric eel that was charging up its power. Smack! With a loud crack, the 100-meter eel was launched into the air, hurled thousands of meters up and crashing down far out to sea. The sudden twist shocked everyone. "What?" Pukon stared in stunned surprise toward the other side of the weak water abyss. They hadn't expected anyone else to be hiding there. But who could be? Who could hide like a fishman in the weak water abyss? The fishmen roared furiously. They already knew who was coming. Zhang Yi's people were also confused, unable to understand what was happening. But from Zhang Yi's expression, it was clear he knew everything. "No need to be too surprised," Zhang Yi said with a smile. "When I was hit by that sneak attack, someone else came and blocked the fatal blow. At that moment, their aura felt very familiar to me. That contact in that one instant made me suspect Kent had a problem. Zhang Yi looked toward the deep ocean where a massive whirlpool was forming and something large and black was rising from within it. It was a giant turtle, its black shell looking like a powerful fortress. The moment people saw it, Zuke and the others shouted, "Xuanwu!" Yes, the one coming could be no other than the East China Sea's Xuanwu. Everyone's faces showed shock and disbelief. Shock because help had arrived. Xuanwu had come to help them. Disbelief because no one could remember when Xuanwu had arrived, and Xuanwu rarely came to land, so how had he gotten here? Soon more familiar faces appeared. The hatch on Xuanwu's back opened, and Zhuge and Li Chenggong stepped out. Their expressions were quite mysterious. Li Chenggong and Zhang Yi looked at each other. Both had long swords at their waists. Both had hands resting on the hilts, as if a fight could break out any moment. Zhang Yi remembered the moment of that sneak attack on him, and the familiar force that had blocked it. He had suspected then that this power resembled Li Chenggong's "I am the will of heaven," because only Li Chenggong could ignore any defense and cut through everything with one strike. It was an extraordinarily powerful ability. No matter how strong the opponent, a single strike could cut through. And what confirmed it for Zhang Yi was that Li Chenggong had secretly made contact with him as well. It was that contact that made Zhang Yi suspect Kent. The smartest of all was still Yang Xingxing. Through pure logical analysis alone, she had sensed that something was wrong with someone in the team. So, after entering the Death Highway, she had deliberately chosen to ride behind Zhang Yi on the motorcycle so she could discuss it with him running into you. "Here is truly a blessing," Li Chenggong said with a smile to Zhang Yi and the others. Zhang Yi nodded. "We're genuinely lucky that we found each other. Otherwise we'd all be in serious trouble right now." As he said it, he looked toward the void. "If I'm not wrong, you arrived in this world before us. So it was you who alerted the Netherworld, which is why we got attacked, right?" Pukan had been somewhat irritated when Xuanwu and the others showed up, but when he saw them clearly, he calmed down, and a cold smile crossed his lips. "So what if some low-level people came to help you? It won't change this battle at all. Either you lose, or you surrender and become slaves. Those are your only two options." He paused. "But since you asked, I'll be generous and tell you. The drug joint that's sleeping is also our prey. Our ancestors participated in sealing them 200 million years ago, and they left us a warning. Never let those creatures be reborn. If we successfully seal them again, we'll receive a tremendous reward. The energy released while they sleep is an endless treasure for us." Zhang Yi nodded. "I figured. I'd thought the same thing. But in reality, he wanted an even greater treasure than that. Of course, that wasn't something he was going to tell Pukan. Pukan had told him all this because he believed Zhang Yi could no longer turn the situation around. The Atlantis sea monsters were glaring furiously at Xuanwu and his people. The giant electric eel let out a thunderous roar, and terrifying lightning began accumulating on its blue horns, forming into a ball that shot straight toward Xuanwu. A massive, deep blue lightning sphere formed and surged toward Xuanwu's area. When it arrived, it spread into spherical lightning that covered the entire zone like a cage. The black, weak water roared and the sky filled with lightning. Xuanwu didn't stay quiet in the face of an attack like that. He opened his blood-red mouth, and inside his throat a large cannon barrel was visible. A strange energy gathered inside it, condensing into a deep blue light ball, then detonated. Mystic light cannon. Both energies collided and destroyed each other. In the ocean, Xuanwu's power was very close to bishop level, and Zhang Yi clearly felt that Xuanwu had grown considerably stronger than before. His current ability index was at least 28,000 points. Looks like he found a major opportunity in the deep sea too. The electric eel gained no advantage, and the other sea monsters' eyes took on a look of mockery. Their massive bodies moved through the water, beginning to surround Xuanwu. A 28,000 power prey was still a major feast to them. Pukan looked at Zhang Yi and sneered. "Your helper is about to become someone else's meal." Zhang Yi looked at him with cold eyes. Zhang Yi had never been one to think of himself as smart and everyone else as foolish. He knew that Xuanwu and only 2 companions wouldn't come alone to a place this dangerous. That meant they had additional support. As Zhang Yi was thinking this, the ocean around Xuanwu began surging violently, and 3 mountain-sized figures rose from the water. A gray-blue giant octopus with large holes in its head that made strange sounds when the wind blew through them. A pink sea monster even larger than the octopus, every muscle twisted and tight as steel cable. On closer inspection, a mutated giant starfish, and at the front, a large yellow sponge. The moment these 3 arrived, the Atlanteans stopped dead, and both shock and hatred appeared in their eyes. "What are you doing here?" These turned out to be old enemies of theirs. From the ocean's surface, a voice, "Want to fight? I'm ready." The Atlantis people were visibly shaken seeing these 3 monsters. Zhang Yi didn't know them, but from Li Chenggong and Xuanwu's reactions it was clear these were their allies. For now, Zhang Yi didn't need to worry about their safety. Everything else could wait. He looked toward Pukan, who stood in the distance. "You're right, escaping from this place isn't possible, so the score between you and me gets settled here." There was direct killing intent in Zhang Yi's eyes. The Wulon Empire destroyed Tianhai City, burned it to ash, killed hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians from Waksu Kingdom. 1/3 of Tianhai City's population was wiped out because of you. I've never forgotten that hatred, and I didn't expect you'd be setting a trap for me again before I even got my revenge. He stared at Pukan. "Watch, one day I will erase your entire Wulon Empire from this planet. Not a single one of you will survive." As he said it, he raised his demonic blade and pointed it to Pukan. "It starts with you today." The situation was slipping out of Pukan's control. He hadn't expected the Deep Blue clan to interfere, but even so, Zhang Yi's challenge didn't frighten him. Pukan sneered. "Kill me. Are you dreaming? Do you know who I am?" He raised his right arm and a hilt emerged from his battle armor. From that hilt blazed a sharp, white, light blade, clearly an energy weapon that looked like a lightsaber. The air itself rippled from the white beam, and a powerful, unique force field was being created. The moment this energy appeared, Zhang Yi's intelligence system began analyzing its energy fluctuations. Energy points, 35,000, 38,000, 40,000. Opponent's combat strength index is at Black Bishop level. This assessment had been made solely based on the energy fluctuations of a weapon. The system had been newly installed in the battle armor, based on mechanical civilization technology, and could measure any opponent's true combat strength. Everyone knew that a superpower index and actual combat power weren't the same because many factors were involved, and many superhumans had burst skills that allowed them to release more power than their original index for a single moment. With this system, the threat level of an opponent's attacks could now be judged with greater accuracy during battle. Pukan's strength was clearly above even a Black Bishop. Pukan gripped his lightsaber and looked straight at Zhang Yi, as if everyone else didn't exist. To him, only Zhang Yi was a worthy opponent. "When we destroyed your kingdom, the Grand Marshal stopped me from participating in the name of protection. But I never forgot how badly you humiliated the Wulon Empire. Now I start by killing you." The 6 silver armor generals fell into formation, activating their powerful abilities and ready to eliminate the largest threat. "Don't underestimate the people with me." Zhang Yi looked at Yang Xingxing, Uncle Yu, Luran, Fatiju, Liang Yue, and Hua. His eyes held complete trust. "They're not just depending on me anymore. They've all become powerful fighters." He gave his orders. "All of you handle the rest, and protect Deng Shengtong and Liang Yue." Zhang Yi opened a dimensional gate and immediately moved into the distant void. Deng Shengtong stood where he was, slightly offended, gesturing at himself. "Hey, mention me too. I'm weak right now, but I'm still Epsilon. I'm not that weak." Hua immediately came to his side. She grabbed his collar and threw him onto her back. Then her body expanded to joint size, entering the second stage and becoming a 200-meter-long winged beast. She let out a roar at the incoming silver armor general. Her wings opened alongside her battle armor like 2 great swords cutting through the sky. Liang Yue also chose a strong opponent and went to face them head-on with her long sword. In terms of superpower index, she wasn't the strongest, but in a one-on-one fight, she was probably the most dangerous person on the team after Zhang Yi. Lu Karan climbed inside the Snow Owl mech. "None of this hand-to-hand business is necessary. This isn't some ancient era where we fight one-on-one." The Snow Owl mech stood behind Uncle Yu, whose black magical armor was fully deployed. He looked like a miniature demon god. Uncle Yu had completed 30% mechanical modification on his body. Zhang Yi had strictly told him not to go above 50%, or he might lose his humanity. But even now, he was a powerful war machine. Loran and Uncle Yu opened multiple cannons on their bodies and simultaneously fired an energy cannon barrage. The destructive power of the Sangwon clan's energy cannons was several times greater than the strongest cannons in human history. Thousands of beams fired at once, like a golden storm covering the sky. Thousands of shots fired every second, combining into one continuous wall of destruction. Seeing this, the Wulan Empire's generals hesitated for a moment. They didn't have the same advantages as Zhang Yi. They couldn't bring weapons this powerful with them, so they had to defend with armor shields or abilities. Yang Xingxing stood in the rear, hands folded, calmly watching everything, giving orders without fear. She wasn't acting immediately because the fallen puppet ability needed to be used at exactly the right moment. Now Zhang Yi had a team he could truly trust, and the time had come for one king to face another. He moved a few kilometers away and stopped. Pukon smirked, then dodged backward and appeared 5 kilometers away through a white special rift. This wasn't their first fight, and he knew exactly how dangerous Zhang Yi's divine rail purification was. If he had to take a direct hit, maintaining distance was the best option. A white blazing light appeared on his body. Space began to distort. Light began to scatter. Zhang Yi's vision of him blurred. Is he maintaining distance so I can't finish him in one move? Zhang Yi understood immediately. Pukon had come fully prepared for this fight. Interesting. Very interesting. You've planned quite a lot to kill me. Unfortunately, I'm no longer the same Zhang Yi I was a month ago. Zhang Yi transformed the divine essence into 2 large hand cannons, barrels over a meter-long, caliber exceeding 100 millimeters. Behind him, a massive wide vortex formed, like a black sun, exactly like what he had seen Druk do in the Heavenly Palace. Zhang Yi was an expert at copying. Barrage of cannon fire. The power of the void was loaded into those cannons, and from them, massive black void energy orbs began emerging. Boom, 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 boom. In an instant, thousands of large black spheres appeared in the sky, and the entire sky went dark, like the end of the world had arrived. This was a star-piercing cannon barrage, an attack that launched thousands of strikes in a single moment. 2 things limited Zhang Yi's attacks, energy and weapon durability. But now his superpower index had reached 35,000. The demon god armor's energy core was providing power, and the weapon had been modified to solve the overheating problem, so he could release his full power without any restraint. Most importantly, his spirit had undergone a complete transformation. After the baptism of the spiritual ocean, he could now handle unlimited power. Thousands of star-piercing cannons detonated simultaneously in the sky and surged toward the point where space had been breached. The moment Pukon saw this, a flash of shock crossed his eyes. Launching thousands of attacks with this level of high energy density in a single moment, no normal white bishop-level person could do that. But he had no time to think because the black artillery barrage was already crashing down on him. Like the sun itself had been eclipsed. Black light beams tore through the sky and the entire area was sealed like a dark meteor shower. This is interesting. After being briefly stunned, Pukon immediately countered. He raised his white lightsaber and made a powerful swing. In a single strike, bright white light exploded in every direction, like a sudden torrential downpour. The next moment, Zhang Yi witnessed a strange and unreal scene. The space around Pukon began tearing like fabric. Long cracks forming everywhere. From every crack, white light poured out. A terrifyingly dangerous light that looked capable of tearing space itself apart. Spatial chaos. The white cracks formed a network covering the entire area like a massive fishing net. The moment the star-piercing cannons collided with those cracks, violent explosions erupted one after another. Black and white energy clashed and detonated, and the entire space flooded with light. Intense battles were happening elsewhere too, but everyone's attention was drawn here. Zhang Yi saw the scene and his eyes sharpened. This was specifically designed to counter me. His ability was also space-based, and these cracks were clearly engineered against him. If he used his space travel ability, those cracks could activate and damage him. Good. Zhang Yi raised his hand cannon. Let's see who wins in the end. He kept firing star-piercing cannons continuously. He had more trump cards, but he was never reckless. First, attacking from a distance to understand the opponent was always the best strategy. Pukon saw this and gave a cold smile, swinging his lightsaber through the air to create even more white spatial cracks, building a protective net around himself. Zhang Yi immediately switched weapons, reverting the divine refinement back into the demonic blade. He gripped it tight and delivered a powerful slash. The void's energy spread across the blade and a huge dark slash cut across the sky, like someone had drawn a single brushstroke on canvas. The slash collided with the white net and the two powers clashed. In the exchange, Zhang Yi went slightly to the disadvantage. Recoil pushed him far back. But this was all within his expectations. Ability Index 42,000, Black Bishop. The Wulon Empire sent a dangerous opponent this time. Zhang Yi took a breath. Pukon's strength was even more dangerous than in their previous encounter. Looks like I'm going to have to get serious. Zhang Yi pulled out a red energy crystal and inserted it into the core furnace of the Demon God mech. Demon God mech 100% activation. The mech's furnace ignited immediately. In its normal state, it was just a strong armor. But at full activation, it became a high-level Demon God mech. Boom, boom. The red crystals began burning and energy flowed throughout his entire body. The black demonic armor now glowed crimson red, and white heat waves radiated from the joints. He looked like a real demon god. Pukon watched Zhang Yi's energy rapidly rising, climbing to nearly his own level. That's the Kangwan clan's mech technology, mastered so quickly. For the first time, Pukon was shaken internally. The Kangwan clan's technology was even more advanced than their Wulon Empire's. Zhang Yi felt a surge of power inside him. Even if he were just a normal person now, with only this mech he could fight a white bishop-level opponent. Exactly as expected, Itgar's mech is the best. Zhang Yi looked up at the sky. Now the real fight begins. He dropped the hand cannons and gripped his crimson demonic blade with both hands. Red and black energy began spiraling together on the blade like two serpents coiling around each other. Then he unleashed a devastating slash. A massive wave of energy surged straight toward Pukon. This time, Pukon clearly felt the danger. He gripped the lightsaber with both hands, shielded himself, and screamed. An intense white light exploded from the lightsaber, capable of cutting through space itself. Zhang Yi's attack collided with the shield, and instantly the color of the sky changed. 3 different colors of energy were clashing, and shockwaves spread in every direction. Everyone else had to fall back. This fight was on an entirely different level. If anyone got too close, they could die from the shockwaves alone. On the other side, the 3 joint creatures that Li Chenggong had brought were from the Deep Blue Kingdom, natural enemies of Atlantis. Both sides were bishop level in strength, and their leaders could potentially match Zhang Yi and Pukon in power. This had become a full-scale war. Far away in the sky, feeling Zhang Yi's terrifying aura, Li Chenggong's eyes went deep. After contact with the Deep Blue Kingdom, his strength had grown considerably. But the gap between him and Zhang Yi was still enormous. I won't let anyone dominate over me. Li Chenggong was also a space-time type ability user. At one point, he and Zhang Yi had been equals. His talent wasn't weak, and his ability, I am the will of heaven, was effectively a broken-level skill. He just needed one opportunity. Li Chenggong plunged straight into the battlefield. Xuanwu and Zhuke together were only managing to handle one sea monster, the giant electric eel. The usual strategy, Xuanwu takes the hits up front with his strong defense while the other 2 provide support. The electric eel was very powerful, around 30,000 by estimation. Deep-sea monsters were already naturally strong, and the electricity ability made it even more dangerous. It had raised its upper body out of the water and was accumulating terrifying lightning on its blue horns to attack them. Previously, the Deep Blue Kingdom's general, the gray-blue octopus, had been blocking these attacks, but now everyone was occupied with their own opponents, so the Xuanwu team had to handle it themselves. Xuanwu's defense was strong, but electricity this powerful was dangerous even for him. And with equipment and people inside his body, the risk was even greater. I'll do it. At that moment, Li Chenggong stepped forward. He stood on Xuanwu's head and looked directly at the lightning coming their way. He gripped his sword and his expression went serious. I always thought my power was the strongest, but when I saw the power of the Deep Blue King, I realized I was wrong. If the blade isn't fast enough, it can't reach the enemy. I shouldn't just cut the body. I should cut space itself, even the enemy's energy. Not cut, divide space, like a stone in the middle of a river breaking the flow. The lightning was bearing down on them. Electric sparks were already dancing on his sword, but his body was completely still. As the lightning got close, his hair stood on end. The sunset was blood red. The wind picked up hard. In that moment, death filled him entirely. He let go of all fear. He was a real warrior now. Clang! He drew his sword. No flashy moves. This wasn't about power. It was about using the rules. He didn't cut the lightning. He diverted space. The lightning bent around both sides of his blade, as if trying to avoid the edge. The attack fell into the weak water and created massive waves, but Li Chunggong and his team were completely safe. The electric eel was stunned for a moment. For the first time, it took Li Chunggong seriously. Li Chunggong took a deep breath. His transformation was complete. He raised his sword and said with a fearless smile, "Let's try that again." On the other side, the battle between Zhang Yi and Pu Kan was at its peak. Zhang Yi was now nearly perfect in both attack and defense. But to win, he needed to find the opponent's weakness. One chance and I can break his neck, but he's maintaining distance and shielding himself. Too risky. Both of them were fighting, from afar, but the time for close combat was approaching. However, Zhang Yi had no interest in rushing into that. He switched weapons again, this time forming a massive sniper cannon 8 meters long. "Let's see how much damage you can take." He fired nuclear-level attacks. An explosion erupted and energy waves spread through the sky. Pu Kan countered as well. From his wrist armor, a device appeared housing 3 rotating energy spheres. Reincarnation Bright Sky Cannon. He fired a spiral beam that collided with Zhang Yi's attack. A massive explosion detonated and the ground was scorched. Both sides were using the same strategy, attacking from distance and waiting. Neither wanted to reveal a weakness. Zhang Yi reasoned, "As long as I'm not at a disadvantage, there's no need for close combat. My ammunition and energy are effectively unlimited. First he'll panic, then he'll make a mistake." On the other side, Liang Yue and the others were also managing the fight. Zhang Yi had nothing to worry about there, so he calmly kept reloading his sniper cannon and continued the long-range war with Pu Kan. It was true that the Wulan Empire had very advanced and powerful technology, but now Pu Kan wasn't facing some ordinary human superhuman. He was facing Zhang Yi, who had mastered the Kangwan clan's mechanical technology. After one round of artillery fire, neither side could deal decisive damage to the other at long range. But one thing became clear: the gap in energy reserves. Pu Kan had started out confident. His ability index was far above Zhang Yi's, so he'd thought the advantage was on his side. But gradually, he felt something was wrong. His energy was depleting while he was getting no results. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi was fighting like he had unlimited ammunition and energy. Where does all that ammunition keep coming from? Pu Kan recalled an unpleasant possibility: the fight after the Gate of Light. Zhang Yi carried an entire fortress with him. Actually, Pu Kan had been waiting for Zhang Yi to deploy the fortress, because after that, Zhang Yi's mobility would decrease. Pu Kan had even prepared a special weapon for that, more dangerous than the human's Grim Reaper of Love. But Zhang Yi deliberately hadn't used the fortress. "Delaying like this doesn't suit me." Pu Kan's frustration was building. Even being strong, fighting a weaker opponent this way, like punching air, was something no one could tolerate indefinitely. Anger and jealousy both rose inside him. "After I kill him, the Kangwan clan's armor will be mine." Pu Kan understood this stalemate couldn't continue. On the other battlefields too, they weren't gaining an advantage. As the leader, he had to break the situation. If he defeated Zhang Yi, it was all over. He took a deep breath and made his decision. He slashed space with his lightsaber. A white crack formed, and he stepped through it, appearing right beside Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. "You finally lost control. This was exactly the moment I was waiting for." In an expert fight, mindset is everything. The one who loses initiative gradually loses the battle. This was precisely what Zhang Yi had been waiting for. The advantage, the perfect timing. He activated Time Hand to predict exactly where Pu Kan would appear. Right hand ready with the sword, left hand seized the void. The moment Pu Kan emerged from the rift, Zhang Yi closed his fist. The divine rail purification, space began collapsing, and everything within a 1,000-meter radius started to distort. Crushing pressure came from every direction. A terrifying destructive force. Even Pu Kan's armor began to creak. But he was ready. He shielded himself with his special energy and resisted the damage. He wasn't severely injured. He looked at Zhang Yi and raised his left hand. "Now you're going to a prison that no one can escape." White cracks began forming in space, constructing a large cage surrounding Zhang Yi. Eternal prison, a special cage built by cutting space itself. Zhang Yi had seen this move before. Normal teleportation couldn't escape it. Previously, he had used the Azure Sky movement to get out. Pu Kan's plan was clear. Force him to use his special ability, because that ability couldn't be used an unlimited number of times. Zhang Yi looked calmly at the forming cracks around him. He understood how dangerous this ability was, but he was prepared. He created 3,000 dimensional gates around himself, a solid defense. Then he raised his hand and detonated all the gates simultaneously outward. The best way to break space is with space. The dimensional gates and white cracks collided, and an unimaginable scene unfolded. Reality began to distort. Dimensions overlapped. The 3D world began to fracture, and a glimpse of higher dimensions flashed into view. Then it all collapsed. A few seconds later, the eternal prison broke apart. But many of Zhang Yi's gates were destroyed too. Zhang Yi was free. Pukan smiled. Let's see how many times you can do that. You're fighting with a mech. But your energy is less than mine. You can never beat me this way. He spread his arms and gripped his sword. The next move is even more dangerous. He slashed his sword, and from the sky, thousands of white spatial cracks rained down like shooting stars. White scars were forming everywhere, not randomly, but arranged in a pattern. A new massive cage formed. Then inside it, more cages. Layer upon layer, a multi-layered death trap. The unparalleled realm of death, a kingdom of destruction. Zhang Yi and Pukan had fought before, and both had already seen each other's moves. That meant winning a duel required using unexpected abilities to take the opponent down quickly. The caged bird had failed once, but Pukan wasn't about to make that mistake again. So this more powerful move, the Death Domain, the unparalleled kingdom of destruction, had been specifically designed to counter Zhang Yi's time-stopping ability. It worked like a set of Russian nesting dolls. Within one small space, a complex, multi-layered special rift cage took form. Even if Zhang Yi broke through the first barrier, everyone after it would be increasingly harder to crack. When his dimensional gates ran out, even if he managed to escape, he'd still fall victim to the Void Breaker. Come on, Zhang Yi. Let's see how you counter this. Pukan stared at Zhang Yi from a distance. His eyes were filled with deadly killing intent. When this move activated, even he himself couldn't easily get close. Because the destructive power was so immense, it could backfire on him as well, but that slowly shrinking, collapsing spatial kingdom was the coffin he had built specifically for Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi looked up and saw nothing but layer upon layer of white cages. Mountains behind mountains, buildings behind buildings, and beyond every cage, another waiting outside it. Not a single crack or escape route had been left for him. It looked like there was a path, but the moment you broke through one cage, 10 more would be waiting on the other side. Zhang Yi immediately calculated how many dimensional gates he had remaining. If he tried to brute force his way through, he'd probably burn through every gate, breaking the constraints one by one. Pukan's fighting style was simple and brutal, using his higher ability level to simply suppress Zhang Yi. This is genuinely a solid playing style. Breaking through it with my abilities is no easy thing. I'll admit it. The Wulan Empire is quite good at stopping me. Zhang Yi raised the demonic blade in his hand, which is exactly why I have to kill all of you. Now I'll show you my real strength. He said it calmly. Pukan's eyes narrowed, wondering if the man was bluffing. The Sangwon clan's mechanical life forms possessed a special ability that was nearly impossible for carbon-based life forms to replicate. Its name, overclocking. Steel and iron have enormous tolerance. That's why they could release energy recklessly without feeling pain, which meant they weren't limited by the constraints of conscious thinking. When a mechanical life form launched an overclocking burst, it entered a temporary state of maximum energy output. The only drawback was that it couldn't be sustained for long, or the body would overheat. I can probably maintain peak overclocking for about 1 minute, but that should be enough. Zhang Yi's eyes went completely cold and focused. He usually preferred drawn-out fights, but today he wanted to finish this fast. Machine, release, entering overclocking mode. Set overclocking value to maximum. The onboard intelligence system immediately issued a warning. 300% maximum overclocking will damage the machine and potentially render it non-functional. Do you wish to continue the overclocking command? Execute received. A cold mechanical voice. Then the furnace became scorching hot all at once. The protection mechanism designed to prevent the machine from overheating was switched off entirely, and the furnace core's conversion speed was pushed to maximum mode. Inside the furnace, the red energy crystal ignited with blazing red light, like something had set it on fire. It would burn itself completely before turning into grayish-white slag. Energy poured from the furnace core, reaching every joint in the body. Boom! In a single instant, a terrifying and overwhelmingly powerful energy erupted from every part of the demon god's body, like the eruption of a death god. Red energy and black void energy spiraled through the sky, the heat so intense it distorted the light itself, and the white spatial rifts began going unstable. Warning, warning, Pukan, who had been calmly waiting for Zhang Yi's death, had his battle armor system suddenly blast an emergency alarm. The numbers on his visor changed rapidly. What? When Pukan saw those numbers, his eyes nearly popped out of his helmet. In human terms, the energy level had jumped straight above 45,000 points, and for a single moment peaked at 46,000. Is the measurement wrong? How can this man put out that much power? Calculation is correct. The energy reaction we are detecting is extremely dangerous. Evacuate immediately, the mechanical voice warned Pukan, but Pukan refused to accept this reality. According to the intelligence they had, this shouldn't be possible. Even if he had obtained Chengyuan clan technology, a boost this large didn't seem feasible. Pukan had overlooked one thing. Their assessment of the Chengyuan clan's technology had been based mostly on data from standard demon god mechs. They had never properly analyzed the data on the Chengyuan clan's King Yituger's armor. The figure standing in the sky wrapped in that armor, releasing black-red energy, was beginning to remind him of the Chengyuan clan's king he had once encountered. The pressure of that power was so overwhelming that even the fighters on the surrounding battlefields turned to look. The Deep Blue Kingdom's 3 leaders looked up toward the distant sky, and their confidence surged. On the other side, the hearts of Atlantis' deep-sea monsters went cold with fear. Weren't the Woolen people saying these 6th-generation humans were easy targets? Something isn't right anymore. Zhang Yi felt a searing heat. The demon god armor was running at 300% overload, like he was standing inside a furnace. He was genuinely furious now. He needed to release this burning feeling completely. Come on, you Wulon Empire trash. Come fight your grandfather properly. Zhang Yi roared. He gripped the demonic blade in his right hand and without any fancy moves, delivered one hard slash to the side. All the power that had been building, it exploded out in that single strike. Boom! The energy burst out like a surging wave, so powerful that Zhang Yi himself could barely fully control it. That massive energy took the shape of a black and red dragon, spiraling through the sky before slamming into the white cages. The white spatial rift cage shattered instantly under the impact of that black-red dragon and broke apart in moments. Then the second layer, third layer, boom, boom, boom. His blade light was so overwhelmingly powerful that within just 2 seconds, he had smashed through the cage barriers. Pukan staggered backward in the air. There was disbelief in his eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. How? How is this even possible? He suddenly understood. The situation was no longer in his control. The energy Zhang Yi was releasing was fluctuating wildly around 45,000, and when Pukan saw the peak values, his heart hammered. After breaking through Pukan's defenses, Zhang Yi didn't hesitate for even a moment, and moved straight toward his main body. A dimensional gate opened in the air, and the distance between them dropped back to roughly 4 kilometers. Pukan snapped to attention and tried to make a decision in the short time he had. Pull back and avoid the attack? That would have been the smart call. But right now he wasn't as fast as Zhang Yi, and he wasn't willing to retreat in front of humans. He was the strongest person in the generation below the Woolen Empire's Grand Marshal. If he backed down against humans today, what would he do afterward? Fine, let's see today just how strong you really are. Pukan raised his white lightsaber in one hand, and his left hand's silver ring enlarged as he launched his attack at Zhang Yi. Reincarnation Bright Sky Cannon. A sharp white light beam shot from the bracelet, covering the space ahead and blocking Zhang Yi's path. But Zhang Yi paid it absolutely no mind. His maximum combat time was less than a minute, and this was his best chance to overwhelm everyone with raw power. He gripped the demonic blade with both hands. Otherwise, even his own body couldn't contain this violent power. Void Slash. The power of the void and the power of the machine fused together, and a tremendous strike was unleashed. That slash tore through space itself, like black ink spreading through air. Whoosh! The black energy swallowed the white light directly and kept advancing toward the sky without slowing. Pukan gripped his sword in his right hand and slashed rapidly through the void, creating thousands of white spatial rifts that formed a dense net in front of him, like a spider web building a strong defense. But against Zhang Yi's single strike, it didn't hold for long. The rifts broke one after another, and the attack reached him directly. Ah! Pukan screamed. His body flooded with white light. He gripped his lightsaber in front of himself to meet the attack head-on. A massive black-red blade of light crashed into him like a dragon, and an explosion erupted in the sky. The white light around Pukan was very dense, but against Zhang Yi's attack it slowly began breaking apart, being consumed. Boom! He couldn't hold against that power, and his body was sent flying backward like a cannonball. Pukan forced himself to keep from being completely hurled away. but cuts appeared near his hands, and blood began dripping down onto his armor. In their very first direct clash, he had been put at a disadvantage. Zhang Yi gave him not a single second to breathe and immediately gave chase. But at that moment, his left eye's time hand gave a dangerous warning. As he glanced toward the void, a figure appeared there without a sound, as if it had always been there. But neither Zhang Yi's eyes nor his senses had detected it before. Only the moment Zhang Yi released his power did this person appear behind him, both hands raised, holding a large energy ball aimed directly at Zhang Yi's back. This was a bishop-level superpowered being from the Wulan Empire, ability index 34,000, non-existent, Jihong. He was always there, but his ability was to completely erase his own existence, perfect invisibility. Both Jihong and Kangde were top-level assassins. One disturbs the enemy's perception, gains trust, and strikes from behind. The other silently attacks when the opponent's attention is lowest. Jihong had been there even before the fight between Zhang Yi and Pukan began, waiting for exactly this critical moment to attack. He was right behind Zhang Yi, a powerful black energy sphere forming in his hands, aimed directly at Zhang Yi's back. Against anyone else it might have worked, but today the person he was fighting had a kind of God's eye view, someone who could feel the future around him. Still, by the time Zhang Yi sensed Jihong, he had already revealed his presence. All Zhang Yi felt was danger incoming from behind. He couldn't see Jihong, but sensing the danger was enough. Just as Jihong's attack was about to hit his back, Zhang Yi didn't even turn around. His shoulder cannon suddenly rotated and fired directly at Jihong. Jihong's eyes went wide. Before he could even launch his attack, a powerful energy blast hit him square in the face. Boom! The demon's energy cannon scored a direct hit, and Jihong was blasted away, his attack still released, and Zhang Yi opened his left palm. Boom! The energy sphere struck his hand. But Zhang Yi absorbed it, then completely destroyed it. The demon god mech was already powerful, and in overclocking mode it was even more dangerous. Jihong's attack barely registered. Without wasting a single second, Jihong's body suddenly went transparent and he vanished again. This disrupted Zhang Yi's fighting rhythm slightly. Pukan closed his fist and glared at Zhang Yi, while raising his sky cannon and lightsaber. Come on, now you'll also have to watch for surprise attacks from behind constantly. Let's see how focused you can be fighting me at the same time. Internally, he was rattled. He had brought two major assets, Kangde and Jihong, and still they hadn't taken Zhang Yi down quickly. The man standing across from him was far more dangerous than he had thought. But at this point, there was no turning back. He had to finish Zhang Yi here completely. A deep unease had settled in Pukan's chest. He understood now. If he let this man in front of him keep growing, one day that growth might bring down the entire Wulan Empire. His growth rate was obscenely fast, fast enough to create real fear. This man had to be ended in this sealed place, without being given any chance to return to the outside world. Zhang Yi completely ignored Pukan's trash talk. His time was very limited. Two people, so what? I don't think either of you together can break my defense. In his mind, his myriad phenomena defensive range expanded straight to 10,000 meters. Outside that range, even if Jihong suddenly appeared and attacked, he wouldn't just fail to break Zhang Yi's defense. His own life would be in danger. I'll finish you first. Zhang Yi's gaze locked entirely on Pukan. His body went light and ethereal in the air, and in a single moment he closed all the distance between them. The furnace was burning at full intensity. He needed to release this power fast or it would go to waste. Zhang Yi dropped from the sky and launched a 30-fold slash with his demonic blade. Black and red energy roared through the air like a massive dragon. Then he followed with 9 more consecutive slashes, 9 great energy dragons roaring skyward. Pukan didn't dare make the same mistake twice. Perfect timing. His body instinctively pulled back and he raised his sword to counter. At that same moment, Jihong appeared again from a distance and began trying to disrupt Zhang Yi. Assassination star. He raised black energy cannons in both hands and slammed them against Zhang Yi's back. But the moment that energy entered Zhang Yi's alternate dimension, it had no effect whatsoever. It simply disappeared. An attack from a 34,000 ability index simply could not break Zhang Yi's defense. Ignoring the assassination entirely was the correct call. Jihong himself was left stunned. Had his presence dropped so low that someone was ignoring him mid-battle? Zhang Yi pressed forward with his blade. His speed was terrifying. A combination of spatial teleportation and the overclocked mech. The pressure on Pukan kept mounting. He wanted to run, But escaping from Zhang Yi was nearly impossible. He kept spinning his sword, creating massive white spatial rifts to attack Zhang Yi, just trying to slow him down. But Zhang Yi shattered all of them easily with the demon god mech's overclocking burst. Boom! 3 massive black-red energy dragons came down and slammed hard into Pukon's body. His armor couldn't absorb that much energy. He coughed blood. Damn! Pukon was seriously injured now. His eyes went red, filled with rage. Never in his life had he been humiliated like this, and by a 6th-generation human he had looked down on. Inside his left arm's armor, a silver holosphere appeared, something that looked like a work of art. This was the Wulan Empire's ultimate weapon, more powerful even than humanity's death of love. He was waiting for the right moment. If Zhang Yi entered blast range, whether he died or not, heavy damage was guaranteed. The problem was that even as a space-time type user, he couldn't create distance from Zhang Yi. If he used the weapon now, he might kill himself along with it. He was regretting now that he hadn't used this weapon from the start. Now he was the one running, and Zhang Yi was chasing him with a massive sword. Only 30 seconds had passed, and Zhang Yi was beginning to feel the demon god mech's overload slipping out of control. The system issued a warning, 29 seconds remaining. Overclocking must be terminated or the machine may break down. Zhang Yi didn't respond. Instead, he attacked Pukon even harder. One man with a massive sword, flying in pursuit of a fleeing enemy, slash after relentless slash. Swarm of time. A large space-time swarm formed around Zhang Yi, and everything outside it slowed down. Pukon clearly felt his speed dropping, as if he were fighting through mud. By then, Zhang Yi was right on top of him. This might have been the first time Zhang Yi had ever engaged anyone in such close combat in a genuine life-and-death fight. Pukon's body was several times larger than Zhang Yi's, but he was still afraid of the burning demon wrapped in red energy standing before him. "I'm sending you straight to hell." Zhang Yi's fighting style was simple and brutal. 3 years after the apocalypse, under Liang Yue's guidance, he had built his close combat skills into something formidable. With the demon god mech, his confidence was total. He compressed his defense into just a 1-meter area, pulled it in front of himself, maxed out the defense, and in the next 20 seconds his attack was about to hit its peak too. Real dangerous close combat was about to begin. Pukon hurriedly raised his lightsaber to block, but with every collision his hands trembled. Clang, clang, clang. The direct clash of sword against blade produces the purest and most lethal energy of all. After just 3 moves, Pukon felt a shock travel from his spine through his entire back. The pain in his hands slowly faded. Only a warm, sticky sensation remained. His hands were completely broken. "Jihong, save me!" Pukon was forced to cry out for help. He understood. If this kept up, Zhang Yi would genuinely cut him in half. Hearing that shout from the sky, Jihong had to reappear. He looked at the demonic figure and clenched his teeth, using his ability, non-existent, to bypass Zhang Yi entirely and appear directly behind Pukon. He placed his right hand on Pukon's back, sensing. In that instant, Zhang Yi vanished from Jihong's perception, not visible, not detectable, as if he had never existed. But Zhang Yi's eyes stayed completely calm. The killing intent in them only deepened. "Compared to my void escape, your move looks incredibly clumsy. Did you really think hiding your existence was enough to stop me?" Jihong had merged his presence with Pukon's to temporarily escape the explosive phase of Zhang Yi's assault. Both of them took a deep breath. Pukon was in terrible shape. Blood was flowing from his mouth, chest, and arm. He was in a bad way. Even so, he said to Jihong, "I've figured it out. He's in his final stage now. He's drawing temporary power through mechanical means. It's not his real power. It'll run out soon, and then he'll be in my control." Pukon needed to project authority in front of his subordinate. "Exactly right," Jihong agreed immediately. Without any more delay, both made the decision to flee immediately. But Zhang Yi, who had lost his target, made a strange move without a moment's hesitation. He gripped the demonic sword with both hands behind him, raised it, and drove it hard downward. Energy tied. The enemy's moves were already predictable to him. Otherwise, why would he keep time hand running continuously? So no matter how completely an opponent hid their presence, they couldn't escape his attack. Being invisible doesn't mean you don't exist. A mechanical life form's burst attack, burning an entire red energy crystal to release far more energy than your limit and attack in all directions. Zhang Yi had perfectly copied this move. The red energy crystal inside the furnace burned itself completely out in a single moment, turning into grayish-white slag. Through the demonic sword's blade, a tremendous energy wave spread out into the void. Waves spread in every direction without a single blind spot. The red energy tide immediately reached the mountains and every location where Pukon and Jihong were hiding. Both felt it. Their faces went white. There was nowhere to hide and they weren't fast enough to outrun the wave. A massive ring-shaped energy wave collided with their bodies. Crack! Crack! Jihong's bones broke. He couldn't withstand that much power and coughed blood. Pukon used everything he had to resist the impact. But this wasn't just one wave. It came in layer after layer, like ripples when a stone drops into water. It kept striking their bodies continuously. Jihong's bones and internal organs broke apart, and fragments of internal organs began coming up with his blood. Pukon pushed his battle armor and energy to the absolute limit, but was still shoved backward. Jihong spit blood. His armor shattered. If Pukon hadn't shielded him, he would have died instantly. The attack broke both of their invisibilities, and both reappeared in Zhang Yi's line of sight. The energy tide had devastated everything in the surrounding area. The entire zone became a barren, empty wasteland. Pukon and Jihong hung in the air. Jihong was so weakened that staying upright was a struggle. Pukon was also in bad shape, but his gaze was still locked on Zhang Yi in the distance. He was seriously injured, but he could feel Zhang Yi's terrifying energy was now slowly starting to drop. Power that isn't truly yours can never give you victory. Pukon gripped the doomsday weapon tightly in his left hand, but didn't rush to use it yet. Even injured, he was still a Black Archon-level expert with a 42,000 ability index. He was still more powerful than Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi's demon god mech had overheated, and its combat power was starting to diminish. Now it's my turn to attack, you little insect. I'll give you the most painful death in the world. Pukon wiped the blood from his mouth. His anger was turning into something approaching madness. Zhang Yi looked at him and Jihong and said in a calm voice, "No, it's already over." Even after the demon god mech's heavy usage, Zhang Yi himself was physically fine. As he'd said, he was finishing this fight now. Zhang Yi raised his hand and the myriad phenomena surrounding him instantly broke apart. One by one, dimensional gates began appearing around Pukon and Jihong, fitting together like puzzle pieces, connecting one by one like blocks snapping into place. The boundless coffin. Zhang Yi looked at the coffin-shaped structure forming in the void. So you really love locking people in cages. A pretty solid fighting style. That's why I thought, why not try it myself? I learned this move from you, the Void Breaker, and now I'm going to use the most powerful move of my life to end you. The dimensional gates fit together perfectly and formed a large rhombus shape. Zhang Yi raised his right hand and pressed it down slowly. Pukon's pupils shrank. He felt a massive danger. He didn't understand what Zhang Yi was about to do. But one thing was certain, this was a final finishing move. And he was now trapped inside a cage far more dangerous than any he had ever built. Thousands of gates, thousands of attack angles. No part of his body was safe. Don't make me laugh, you piece of garbage. I'm not standing here waiting to die. Pukon let out a bloodied scream, unhinged, feral. He raised his left arm and the silver ring began to expand. The three orbs on it started spinning rapidly. Even more power surged out from within his body and gathered into the ring. He aimed his left arm at Zhang Yi and launched his most powerful attack. The ring spun violently. Energy whipped around him like a storm, then became a massive white light pillar that crashed directly into the dimensional gate. A full-power attack from a 42,000 ability index was immensely destructive. It could have wiped out an entire city. The dimensional gates began breaking as expected. The massive gate walls shattered in a chain reaction, like broken glass. Pukon let out a booming laugh. So that was your ultimate move, the boundless coffin. How pathetic. What can a low-level person like you actually do against me? Zhang Yi completely ignored Pukon's ravings. That was only the beginning, and you just finished the last piece of this deadly combo. The moment he said that, the demon god's body began to harden, and its shape visibly changed. Its joints sealed shut, and the divine refinement metal fibers transformed and wrapped around his body. In an instant, even heavier armor was added on top. He now looked like a medieval heavy cavalryman. He raised his hand and pointed at the sky. The next instant, a massive black sphere appeared in the sky. Searing heat began spreading, and the rising temperature distorted light across vast swaths of space. Pukon and Jihong felt that terrifying power and fear appeared directly in their eyes. The sensation of death surrounded them instantly. What is that? The power was so overwhelming that all the fighters on the surrounding battlefields turned to look. Every single person felt only one thing: destruction. All the light in the world seemed to dim, and that black sun became the single focal point of every eye. This is my most powerful trump card right now. The power is so immense, and it takes so long to charge that I don't use it easily. Look, I even have to wear all this heavy armor myself to keep from being burned by its own heat. Zhang Yi fixed his gaze on Pukon and Jihong standing in the distance. Now feel every last bit of the damage you've dealt me from the start of this war until now. The black sun descended from the sky and began releasing a strange dark light, a light that consumed every other light around it. Its true meaning was death and destruction. Whatever went against the laws of creation faced the judgment of its fate, and no one could escape it. The space where Pukon and Jihong stood was completely covered by this attack. There was no way to run. This wasn't just an attack, it was a casualty weapon, returning every strike they had ever landed on Zhang Yi back onto them. Jihong, already wounded, stared up at the attack with wide eyes. No matter how invisible he went or how hard he tried to flee, the black sun was directly above him, growing larger in his vision with every moment. Like the real sun, wherever in the world you are, it shines on you regardless. Jihong's eyes dried out. His skin began burning to ash. His armor, clothes, skin and flesh burned away layer by layer, until his bones and red internal organs became visible. He let out one desperate scream before death, then turned completely to ash and vanished. Pukon's situation was little better. He was still fighting. He refused to concede before death. He tried countering with energy bursts and weapons. All of it was useless. His battle armor shattered. The inner armor was reduced to ash. Every piece of Wulan Empire's high-tech weaponry couldn't slow the Black Sun's effect, even for a moment. In his final moments, a crazed gleam entered his eyes. "Then we die together, you bastard." Before his body could fully burn away, he detonated the Doomsday weapon. A horrific energy blast covered the entire zone. Light and sound both vanished. The ground was obliterated, but because of the dream space rules, it slowly began repairing itself. When everything settled, Zhang Yi stepped back through a dimensional gate crack. Did you really think that would work on a time-manipulating non-human? He had gone completely invincible inside the void for a moment. As long as there was no high-level space user in his way, no one could kill Zhang Yi. Pukon's body was gone. His power had been strong, but it had also been proven that his defense wasn't as strong as his offense. In the end, he was killed by his own power, body dead, but the spirit survived. Zhang Yi collected both Pukon's and Jihong's spirits. One red energy crystal had been used, but the gains were extremely valuable. Most importantly, a major threat had been eliminated. Wulan Empire. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed slightly, killing intent glinting in them. This lizard man empire had tried to kill him again and again, and he had endured it until now. But not for much longer. Soon he would erase this entire force from the world. "I won't wait for the drugs to return, I'll become your apocalypse myself." While Zhang Yi and Pukon's fight was winding down, they had deliberately fought at a distance so it wouldn't affect others. But on the coast, Uncle Yu and the team's battle was just as intense. In the team battle, Yang Xingxing had made perfect use of her command skills, coordinating everyone with such precision that they had seized the advantage against the 6 silver armor generals. With the support of the mechanical civilization's tech, Lu Karan's Snow Owl fighter jet and Uncle Yu's modified mech both demonstrated Black Chariot-level power. Yes, the energy consumption was high, but at this level, fights didn't last long anyway, so that wasn't a problem. Yang Xingxing hadn't made a single attack the entire fight. Her job was purely to give commands. Her eyes were completely calm, as if everything were under her control. Her fallen puppet had not yet appeared on the field. No one questioned her about it. Everyone trusted that whatever she was doing deliberately. But everyone had one quiet question in the back of their minds. At the Heavenly Palace, where 2 knights had chosen her as successor and where she had received the same spiritual ocean baptism as Zhang Yi, just how powerful had she become? Fadizhu was controlling the battlefield from behind with his eternal freeze, and Deng Shengtong's great Sumeru illusion was stealing the light itself. Lu Karan, Hua, and Liang Yue were directly clashing on the front line, and Uncle Yu had become an all-around fighter. When the front line was strong, he became long-range heavy artillery and hammered from a distance. The team's coordination was so smooth that even Li Yanyang's eyes filled with admiration watching it. Yang Xingxing noticed her expression and said quietly, "You've never seen anything like this in the Shengjing region, have you?" Li Yanyang was a little surprised. Then with a slight smile, she shook her head. I'm just an ordinary colonel, not even Epsilon. How could I qualify to participate in high-level battles? She paused mid-sentence. Yang Xingxing finished her thought. You've just never seen so many Epsilon-level non-humans together in one place before, right? Oh! Yanyang lowered her head and was quiet. Yang Xingxing smiled faintly. It seems like the Shengjing region has been developing very rapidly over the past few years. They must have been quietly training new powerful people all along. They've always had a connection to the Qinling Dragon clan, so their strength growing fast isn't surprising. Most of the people here weren't Epsilon before, and maybe weren't as talented as you. You're a genius, Miss Li Yangyang. You just need the right environment to let your talent show. Li Yanyang smiled and looked at Yang Xingxing. I think the same thing. That's exactly why I joined Tian Hai. Yang Xingxing said, in the future you'll have the chance to become like them. Watch closely. That's why we brought you on this mission. Li Yanyang had passed many tests that proved she was not a hidden spy of the Shengjing region, but that didn't mean she had earned full trust. Yang Xingxing had a specific reason for keeping her close. No act or pretense could escape her eyes. Whether Li Yanyang had genuinely become one of them was still to be seen. Yang Xingxing held control over Li Yanyang's life and death. Even Zhang Yi could take action at her word. She was like the Queen Mother of the West, and Li Yanyang was like the Bluebird. A connection of destiny, perhaps. Even so, Yang Xingxing kept a certain distance from her. After all, her own gender was already a complicated thing in itself. In the deep ocean, the battle between the Deep Blue Kingdom and Atlantis was growing even more intense. Massive sea monsters clashed one after another, their collisions raising enormous waves. Both kingdoms were based in the deep sea, were ancient rivals, and their strengths were nearly equal, making it hard to determine a winner. 3 Xuanwu warriors were fighting against the giant electric eel, 3 against 1, and still the fight was balanced. There was no other choice, since Li Chonggong wasn't an expert in naval combat, and Zhuke was only at white chariot level, serving only in a support role. Even as a 3 versus 1, they weren't at a disadvantage. On Atlantis' side, a huge octopus-tentacled sea monster was fighting the Deep Blue Kingdom's sponge-like behemoth. Both had very special identities. The sea monster, Kraken, was actually Atlantis' sea god Claude, and that yellow sponge was the Deep Blue Kingdom's prince, Sacrifice. Both had appeared in the world outside the portal before, but due to battlefield conditions, their performance there hadn't been at full strength. Mermaid Sponge, this matter has nothing to do with you. So why are you interfering? Claude directed this question at Sacrifice. In the ocean, both kingdoms were absolute rulers of their own territory, and their intelligence, granted by Kaga, let them rule over all sea creatures. Though they existed in different eras, the ocean was vast enough that both could maintain their territory without fighting each other. Hearing this, a human-shaped form emerged from inside the sponge. A muscular man with his upper body bare and hair like sea kelp. This was Sacrifice's true form. Claude, your fighting here has disturbed the Deep Blue Kingdom's 10,000-year-old mission. Mission? Claude's voice boomed. What does this seal have to do with you? Sacrifice answered in a cold voice. Protecting this seal and preventing the Druk Joint God from entering the world, that is our responsibility. The 6th generation humans are helping us maintain the seal, so we will not allow anyone to cause destruction here. Claude burst out laughing at this. What a naive and completely unrealistic idea. The Druks cannot be sealed permanently. One day they will come to this world. No one can stop them, not even the Creator. And you're still clinging to this foolish belief. When the Druks break the seal and come, the Deep Blue Kingdom will be the first to be destroyed. Sacrifice didn't budge. That day will come, but every day we can delay it. The world gets more peace. Multiple eyes opened across various points on Claude's massive body, without any pattern, looking strangely unnerving. Let's try a different approach. He raised a large tentacle and pointed it in Yang Xingxing's direction. Let's divide up the Yan clan's legacy between us. If we absorb her spiritual essence, we'll evolve. Only by becoming stronger can we face the dangers of the future. Sacrifice rejected this as well. That approach is like drinking poison to quench your thirst. completely pointless, and whoever takes the Yan clan's legacy will become the Druk's next target. He looked up at the sky. What the Yan clan left behind will one day be called back by those who return. Everything they left in this world hasn't ended. He paused. Do you truly have the nerve to provoke beings that equal the gods? Claude went furious at this. The Yan clan is finished. Stop trying to intimidate me. They were weak themselves. They spent their time hiding in fear of the Druks. Why would I be afraid of them? Sacrifice saw no point in continuing the argument. It seems our conflict can't be resolved. What we protect, you want to destroy. So then, we fight. The yellow sponge began rapidly expanding through the ocean. This plant-type life form was extremely regenerative and resilient, and it could absorb the energy of attacks. In the deep sea, it was essentially the counter to almost every monster, which was exactly why Claude had been talking to it for so long. The moment Sacrifice was ready to fight, Claude roared furiously, "Don't think I'm afraid of you. I just didn't want both our kingdoms soaked in blood." Sacrifice's body disappeared back into the sponge. "Don't do anything to those people here. When we leave the sealed land, you can fight them as much as you want. I don't care." Then it spoke to the others. "Our conflict is with the Druks, not these people." The battle in the weak water sea was still raging intensely. Both sides powerful. Fighters were going at it, but none of them were truly putting their lives fully on the line. Because they weren't the main characters of this incident, they had been called in to help. The Deep Blue Kingdom's main goal was simply to help humans seal Mammon together, so they often held back their power. But for Xuanwu, Li Chenggong, and Zhuge, the situation was different. Fighting the electric eel gave them absolutely no room to hold back. One small mistake could mean death, and the joint electric eel showed no mercy to humans whatsoever. To it, they were all companions of Zhang Yi, and it wanted to swallow them whole. The electric eel dove straight into the ocean, its massive body churning the currents. Its streamlined body was very fast and agile underwater, while Xuanwu struggled to match its pace. Within moments, the eel had coiled directly around Xuanwu's massive body. A bright flash of electricity lit up the water beneath the weak water abyss, and Xuanwu's entire body shuddered from the jolts. The electric eel kept discharging electricity continuously while tightening its grip, as if it was going to crush Xuanwu entirely. "This is bad, I can't move at all." Xuanwu's spirit communicated with Li Chenggong and Zhuge. "Good thing my shell is strong enough that it hasn't broken through my defense yet, but if this fight drags on, the pressure will break my body inside the shell." Li Chenggong gripped his long sword tight. "Looks like I'm the one who has to end this battle. Can you?" Xuanwu and Zhuge looked at him doubtfully. Even with some enhancement from the Deep Blue Kingdom, Li Chenggong's ability index was only 24,000, while the electric eel was far more powerful. And underwater, the difference was even more pronounced. "Doesn't matter, as long as it ignores me, that's all I need." Li Chenggong made the decision to separate from Xuanwu's protection. Moving inside the weak water was extremely difficult. Only deep-sea creatures could move freely there. Humans had no proper way of swimming here, which is why he had to stay connected to Xuanwu with a steel cable. If he separated, he'd sink straight to the bottom. But now they had no other options. If they kept relying on the Deep Blue Kingdom or Zhang Yi's team, they'd have no dignity left. To earn respect, you had to show strength. After separating from Xuanwu, Li Chenggong immediately targeted the electric eel that was wrapped around him. "You'll be proof of my loyalty." He climbed along Xuanwu's back and began slashing at the eel with his sword. But the electric eel was highly intelligent. The moment Li Chenggong moved, it reacted immediately. It began twisting and rotating its large slippery body on Xuanwu's back. If Li Chenggong's slash went even slightly wrong at this angle, he would hit Xuanwu instead. And Xuanwu couldn't move at all, completely dependent on his defense just to survive. One wrong blade strike and his defense would collapse. Crackle. The electric eel released a powerful electric current through the water. Thankfully, Li Chenggong had an insulation layer installed in his combat suit, so he wasn't immediately fried. But most of the suit's electronics shut down, and he could no longer communicate with Xuanwu. Now he was alone in the dark abyss. Only his own strength to rely on. His goal was clear: land a fatal hit on this hundreds of meters long monster. Li Chenggong took a deep breath, gripped his sword firmly, and moved along Xuanwu's back, trying to slash at the eel's body. But before his attack could land, the electric eel demonstrated its insane speed. In a single moment, it vanished, then reappeared near Xuanwu's head, mocking Li Chenggong as it went. Smack! The water heaved violently and the eel's massive tail swept toward Li Chenggong from behind. Just from the waves, you could tell how devastating this attack was. It could have overturned an aircraft carrier. Li Chenggong's instinct screamed run because if this hit landed, he was dead. But he suppressed his fear. Underwater, I can't match its speed, but its attack is my best chance to counter. Should I go into a direct clash? If I slash at exactly the right timing and immediately use Flying Cloud Step to get clear, I might be able to kill it. This was an extremely risky decision. Everything was happening within 0.1 seconds. In that one moment, Li Chenggong crushed his fear and put his life on the line. Instead of running, he turned directly to face it and pointed his blade at the eel's tail. The electric eel hadn't expected a human to be this daring. Even if you can cut through anything, this is still an incredibly stupid move. Losing a section of tail was no big deal for it. Its body was massive, and its regeneration was strong. But that little human would be sent flying 100 nautical miles from just the shockwave. Madness. The next instant, the eel's tail came for Li Chenggong. The moment it got close, Li Chenggong entered a strange state. His hands and feet went cold and a chill shot through his blood. The reaction to extreme danger. But that very extreme fear sharpened his mind. When a living being reaches an extreme situation, its potential unlocks. He raised his blade and slashed. He wasn't thinking about death. Or maybe he was so afraid that he forgot the fear entirely. He thought of only one thing: this strike has to land. Not success or failure. Not results. One simple, straight slash. But it was filled with pure killing intent. The blade touched the eel's tail. In this moment, he even forgot that he was supposed to immediately create distance afterward. But what happened was completely different from anything expected. His body didn't go flying. The eel's tail didn't simply get cut and fall. When the blade touched the eel's tail, it cut through the thick scales and flesh with complete ease, like tofu. And in that moment, a deep sensation of death spread inside the eel. The north wind sharp as a blade. The setting sun red as blood. I am the will of heaven. A broken will, but this time, it was not just about cutting. It was about spreading. A small flower of death bloomed at the tip of the blade, like the stamen of a flower. The next instant, the electric eel's massive tail burst apart in the weak water with a bang. Blood and flesh scattered in every direction, and small cracks began racing from the eel's tail across its entire body at speed. This wasn't just external, it was destroying the body from the inside as well. The electric eel felt intense pain, but this was only the beginning. In just a few moments, its tail, larger than 10 meters, had turned completely to ash. Screaming in agony, it loosened its grip on Xuanwu. But just as it prepared to kill the three humans, it felt that destructive power was still spreading. In moments, half its body was dissolving into ash. This power is spreading. Its pupils shrank. Without wasting a single second, it shot lightning from the blue horns on its head and severed its own body in two. Only by sacrificing more than half of its body could it stop the corrosive power. Xuanwu was immediately free. He saw that the eel's lower half was gone, blood pouring into the weak water. He immediately seized the moment and opened his mouth. The Xuanwu cannon charged and fired directly at the eel. At the same moment, Zhuke activated her ice flame. Blue fire spread through the dark water, burning away at the eel's life force. Boom! Both attacks landed squarely on the injured eel, and it let out a sharp scream of pain. The other three Atlantis sea monsters fighting at a distance heard the sound and were briefly surprised. Is Kraken really that weak? 3 land humans brought it to this state? Its strength was already on the lower end. It should have been removed from the fight earlier. Embarrassing. But a sea serpent fighting the giant pink starfish paused and looked into the distance. In the distant sky, lightning was flashing and dark clouds had gathered. It felt 2 very powerful auras collide and then resolve. Looks like that battle is over. I didn't expect the Wulan Empire's man to lose. He called us here to share the Yan clan's legacy. Now that the Wulan people are dead, there's no point continuing the fight. Let's leave. Claude and Prince Chi's fight was still intense, but the moment Claude felt the signal of Pucon's death, he immediately decided to retreat. He let out a terrifying roar that echoed far through the weak water abyss. The moment that signal reached them, the other Atlantis monsters understood. Time to retreat. All 3 monsters were already heavily injured, especially Kraken, which had lost half its body. On receiving the order, they began falling back toward their camp. Xuanwu, Li Chenggong, and Zhuke did not pursue. They had made a strong comeback. But full control of the battlefield wasn't in their hands. If the fight dragged on, the outcome would be uncertain, and the eel would never give them another opening like that. The Atlantis monsters slowly retreated through an underwater tunnel. On the Deep Blue Kingdom side, General Yu, the giant octopus, roared furiously and wanted to chase. But Prince Ji stopped him. "Don't pursue them. If the fight goes all the way, we won't gain much either. Let them go." General Yu expressed his displeasure. "Those people could have ruined our whole plan. If Mamon's seal weakens, the Deep Blue Kingdom could be finished." Prince Ji also wanted to kill them, but the reality was that both sides were nearly equal in strength. Winning such a fight would still come with heavy losses. "We have more important things to do," he said it in a deep voice. General Yu just waved his tentacles to frighten the retreating enemies, but they were already gone. After their departure, Prince Ji, General Yu, and the pink starfish changed their forms, shifting into half-human, half-fish shapes, human upper bodies with fishtails below. Their clothing was also made of a special material. At this point, Zhang Yi had already killed Pukan, taken his essence, and returned. Yang Xingxing and the team's battlefield was already under their control. He had no worries about them. Whether it was weapons or high-level superhumans, the Tianhai City team now stood on equal footing with the Wulan Empire, and could handle the situation even without him. The battlefield was still large. In the sky, colorful high-tech cannon attacks flew through the air. The Snow Owl Mech and Uncle Yu continued pouring out heavy firepower. Hua and Liang Yue were directly clashing on the front line in close combat against the silver-armored generals. Hua's style was as raw and brutal as always, a natural hunter who could kill strong enemies without any formal technique. Liang Yue's style was the complete opposite, elegant and precise. Watching her fight looked like watching art. Her opponent was an enhanced silver armor general. But it didn't take long. In just 3 moves, the fight was over. In close combat, even a single small mistake decides life and death. First strike, pierce the armor. Second, sever the arm. Third, kill. By the time Zhang Yi arrived, the battlefield was nearly one-sided. Seeing this, he showed no interest in joining the fight. He stayed in the distant sky, Pukan's and Jihong's essences in his hand. Watching this scene, the remaining silver armor generals' hearts broke. Pukan, one of the Wulan Empire's strongest superhumans and a top candidate for future marshal, was dead. They had planned everything so meticulously, set the ambush, brought so many experts. They had believed this was a guaranteed win, but in the end, it was their own ruin. Now that Pukan and Jihong were both dead, and Atlantis' other powerful beings were leaving the battlefield one by one, only one future remained for them: total destruction. How is this possible? When did humans get this powerful? Are 6th-generation humans evolving so fast that we can't even keep up? The Wulan Empire's silver armor generals screamed in fury and despair. Throughout history, extraordinary people of older generations always had one advantage: information, which meant that by the end of every era, their power would far exceed the humans of that time. The first reason was that they had survived from the previous era's end, carrying knowledge of old civilizations and technologies. The second was that the moment an apocalypse arrived, they would collect the spiritual energy spreading throughout the world and boost their own power. That was why, when the Wulan Empire first took action, the world shook. Their power was so overwhelming they could have wiped out all of human civilization. If Bai Longji hadn't intervened, the underworld gatekeepers with their army would have ended Huaxu Kingdom in a single day. And if given more time, would have erased humans from the entire Earth. But only 1 year had passed since that battle. How had a monster like this been born among humans? Was this the Creator's will too? When the silver-armored generals finally understood their defeat was certain, they became even more aggressive, determined to take as many people with them as possible before they died. Zhang Yi watched it all from a distance, staying calm. He needed to train his team. He couldn't let them become dependent on him. Fortunately, Fadi Zhu had improved considerably. He wasn't the main attacker, but with his field control ability he provided support to the entire team. Ice power was strong in both attack and defense, perfect for self-protection. Combined with Yang Xingxing's strategy, this team was now capable of conquering the world. Zhang Yi felt someone watching him from a distance with curiosity. He opened a dimensional gate, crossed space, and arrived there. He was at the ocean's edge, where Xuanwu's massive body floated in the weak water like a large warship. Li Chenggong and Zhuk were standing on its head. Both had complex expressions, and nearby in the ocean stood 3 mermaids, watching Zhang Yi with curiosity and surprise. Zhang Yi gave them a slight nod. He felt they were friendly. Then he greeted Li Chenggong and the others. I was busy handling the situation over there, couldn't talk in detail. Tell me exactly what's going on. Li Chenggong's expression grew even more complicated. He had mastered the Death Intent Blade, and his power had grown considerably. He had thought that after returning to Wakshu Kingdom, he would be a top expert below bishop level. But watching Zhang Yi knock away an opponent like Pukon in a single attack made his spine go cold. That energy burst had clearly been 40,000 plus level, more powerful than even the underworld gatekeeper who had assaulted Tianhai City. Did Zhang Yi really kill him? Li Chenggong felt like it was all a dream. Juk was the first to settle down. It wasn't as shocking to her. She had recently broken through to the next level herself. Whether white bishop or black bishop, Zhang Yi was simply on a different level from both. So she didn't react as strongly. Chaos. It's been a while, let me make introductions. These three are our allies. They came from the Deep Blue Kingdom, which lies beneath the ocean. To put it simply, in Wakshu Kingdom's ancient texts, their location was called Guishu. Zhang Yi already knew this name. Yang Xingxing had told him that if there were powerful civilizations in the deep sea, certain places were the most suspicious. First was Atlantis, where an underwater civilization had already been confirmed, and the Knights of the Round Table had already visited, the same place the recent enemies had come from. Zhang Yi had previously thought Atlantis had already been conquered, but now it seemed King Arthur hadn't revealed everything. Second was Guishu, mentioned in ancient texts like the Shanhai Jing. Zhang Yi greeted the mermaids in a friendly way. Hello, I'm Chaos. Advanced civilizations had language translation systems, so communication wasn't an issue. Prince Ji seemed to have been waiting for this moment. The instant Zhang Yi spoke, he immediately came over and grabbed his hand. So you're Chaos. I didn't know land humans had gotten this powerful. But you don't seem like how your friends described you. You seem quite capable and genuinely a good person. Zhang Yi blinked. He raised an eyebrow and looked at Li Chenggong and the others. Li Chenggong and Juke immediately averted their eyes. Xuanwu closed his, as if nothing had happened. What are these people saying about me? Zhang Yi asked with a forced smile. Prince Ji was now in full friendly mode, holding his hand and talking nonstop. Oh, they were saying you're a very slippery person, always pretending to be weak, then attacking from behind when no one's looking. Zhang Yi fixed all three of them with an ice-cold stare, but no one had the nerve to look back at him. That's just what jealous people say. You know how it is. People who envy me spread rumors like that. Prince Ji laughed. Right, I figured it out the moment I saw you. You're clearly no ordinary person. Zhang Yi studied the three carefully. Prince Ji's face was a little pale, and he seemed on the simpler side. General Migai's face was red, and his expression was serious. General Yu's expression always looked vaguely sad. Anyway, may I ask how you all met? Xuanwu, Zhuke, and Li Chenggong had been completely wrapped in enormous clumps of yellow sponge. Xuanwu had strained hard to struggle free, but the moment the sponge touched him, all his strength seemed to vanish. He was completely powerless. No, this is really bad. Xuanwu's spirit grabbed his own head and screamed in panic. What is happening? We just got to the bottom of the ocean and we immediately ran into a monster this big? That gray-blue octopus we met first was already dangerous enough. But this thing turned out to be even more powerful. As a black chariot-level deep-sea behemoth himself, he had now become ready-made prey for someone else. Everyone inside Xuanwu had gone pale. This wasn't their first deep-sea mission. They understood perfectly well what the rules were down here. Only one rule applies. The strong eat the weak. The weak exist only as energy sources for the strong. Xuanwu had become this strong by devouring countless deep-sea monsters. So was today their turn? No person could stay calm thinking about becoming someone else's food. Xuanwu fumed and grabbed his own head. Then he glared at Li Chenggong. This is all your fault. You were in such a rush. How can something like this happen without any guard? If you had slowed down and planned things out instead of charging in, we wouldn't be in this situation. Li Chenggong did feel some regret at that moment. But in the heat of the moment, he hadn't been able to control his excitement. In his pocket was a golden fruit, whose emanating energy resembled a sacrificial spirit. If he could eat it and absorb its power, his strength would jump considerably. There's no point saying all that now. We need to find a way out of this. Li Chenggong asked Xuanwu, any other method to escape? In the deep sea, Xuanwu was their only option, but Xuanwu let out a cold laugh. Escape? You think you know where we are? This is roughly 20,000 meters below the ocean's surface. Think of it as leaving Earth and going to space. What help is going to come from the surface? In space, you can at least strike from a distance. But this is the deep sea. Even communication is difficult, and the people above can't help us. If even Xuanwu was saying this, the situation was truly hopeless. What about the death of love? Li Changong mentioned humanity's last resort weapon. Useless, Xuanwu said, eyes closed. The launch port is blocked. If we use it here, it'd explode inside, meaning we all die together. I don't think that's a great idea. He took a deep breath and steadied himself. Let's see what they actually want. Xuanwu's body was slowly moving, as if being dragged somewhere. The enemy didn't want to kill them immediately. The yellow sponge was extremely powerful. It had taken control of them with ease. At minimum bishop-level strength. If it had wanted to, it could have killed Xuanwu and everyone else right then. Which meant it had another purpose. Everyone inside the ship was helpless. Yes, Li Changong could use his ability to open a gap in the sponge and escape through flying cloud step. But in the deep sea, that would be pointless too. He'd probably die faster. So he quietly sat down in a chair, gripped his sword, and waited for the unknown. Time passed. How much? No one knew. Then suddenly, Xuanwu felt a change. His body stopped. The sponge slowly began pulling back, and everyone's vision returned. Suddenly, a huge number of sounds were audible. When everyone looked outside, they were shocked. They had expected only darkness 20,000 meters below. But here it looked like broad daylight. Everywhere were coral reef-like structures, like underwater mountains. In between were enormous white shells, some the size of cars. When they opened, glowing pearls shone inside, illuminating the whole area like streetlights. Strange, colorful fish swam around, flat-bodied, paper-like in shape, but beautiful. Xuanwu was now resting on a large underwater platform surrounded by people, mermaids. Human upper bodies, fishtails below. "Little mermaids!" the sailors cried in shock and excitement. They were seeing legendary creatures with their own eyes. Their bodies were covered in colorful scales, across their faces and around their eyes too. Their ears also weren't human-shaped but fin-like structures. Many mermaids had gathered around Xuanwu. Some tall armored mermaids with tridents were clearly soldiers standing guard. More kept arriving, all of them watching with curiosity. To them, surface humans were just as strange as mermaids were to humans. Li Changong gripped his sword tight and looked out the porthole. He noticed their civilization wasn't highly advanced. Many things looked ancient in style, using large sea creatures for transport. But their warriors' equipment looked quite advanced. When Xuanwu was fully brought to the platform, the three large sea monsters had reverted to their true forms. Prince Ji didn't fully release Xuanwu. Only his head was brought out. The rest of his body was still bound in sponge, like a giant rice dumpling. Then, Xuanwu's spirit suddenly grew excited. Good. There might still be a chance to survive. Li Changong looked at Xuanwu, and Zhuke explained to him. Xuanwu can understand sea creature language. Xuanwu said happily, "There's a civilization here. Where there's a civilization, there's communication. Maybe we can apologize and pay some price to save our lives." Hearing this, Li Changong and Zhuke both felt slightly relieved, but the situation was still dangerous. They were completely under someone else's control. A short time later, a large horn suddenly sounded, powerful enough to shake the surrounding coral reefs. From the distance, a dark green vehicle came rushing toward them, an underwater chariot pulled by 8 large seahorses. On the chariot, a tall, muscular, middle-aged merman reclined half-seated, wearing clothes made of special materials and glowing scales, with a golden trident resting beside him. Li Changong thought to himself, "From the look of things, this must be the Sea King of the underwater world." The Sea King arrived, stepped off the chariot, and settled onto a natural coral throne. His long hair and beard swayed in the water like seaweed. He asked Prince Ji and the others, "Did these ones come from the land?" Prince Ji's face lit up with excitement. He had seen some submarines before, but those people were too weak, couldn't withstand the deep-sea pressure and died. This was the first time he had ever seen humans this powerful. "Father, these truly are people from the land. That giant turtle is just a disguise." He gestured toward Xuanwu with both hands, who was still tied up like a dumpling. "There are more people hiding inside it." Then General Yu came forward. His lower body was made of octopus tentacles. "Your Majesty, I believe these people came with bad intentions. The moment they arrived in the Deep Blue Kingdom, they were eyeing our sun tree and trying to steal its fruit. Good thing I was there." He proudly placed his hand on his chest and smiled. I, the Deep Blue Kingdom's bravest General Yu, stopped them. Hearing this, the surrounding crowd erupted in shock and anger. Everyone glared furiously at Xuanwu. These land people wanted to destroy our sun tree. Kill them immediately. No, put them in a museum. Listening to all this, the Sea King went serious. He leaned forward and stared at Xuanwu. Are you thieves? Xuanwu's face went white. He quickly explained, No, Your Majesty, we're just an exploration team. We found a tree with magical fruits and we thought it didn't belong to anyone, so we went to take some. If we had known it was yours, we would never have touched it. General Yu scoffed at his explanation. I don't believe a word of that. It's the sun tree's fruit. Extremely powerful energy. I want it too. I mean, yes, I want it as well. But you people are completely shameless. I'll teach you a lesson. Prince Ji raised a hand to stop him. There's no need to be that harsh. The sun tree is a gift of heaven, and the energy of its fruits comes from land people in the first place. I think we should give them a chance to explain. The scene looked exactly like a courtroom, and Xuanwu and his team stood there like the accused. Zhuge and Li Chenggong didn't understand their language. They were following through Xuanwu's interpretation. Then Li Chenggong had an idea. He quietly said to Xuanwu, If we want to survive, we need to give them something valuable. I think they'll be interested in the situation on land. I have a plan. He told Xuanwu his plan. Xuanwu heard it, thought it over. It made sense. Besides, they had no other options. So while the crowd was still furious at them, Xuanwu spoke loudly. Your Majesty and people of the Deep Blue Kingdom, please hear me out. His voice went serious. Our world is facing a great crisis. An apocalypse is coming. We came to the deep sea seeking power to survive it. This isn't just our concern, it's a matter for the entire world. You are all part of it too. Hearing this, the mermaids fell quiet. Concern appeared on their faces. Xuanwu felt his speech was working, but the Sea King rested his chin on his hand and let out a cold sigh. Do you think we don't know all this? Then he pointed at Xuanwu. Bring out everyone hiding inside you. We want to see who's here. Xuanwu had no option to refuse. He opened his mouth, and Li Chenggong and everyone else stepped out. At 20,000 meters of depth, humans normally couldn't survive, but their high-tech suits let them withstand the pressure. This was possible thanks to Zhang Yi, who had shared the Kangwan clan's technology. The moment they stepped out, all the sea creatures got excited. They crowded around, staring at them like they were looking at a rare species. Hey, why are their tails like that? They look so weird. Are these aliens? I'm never going to the land. Monsters must live there. What a terrible place it must be.